once upon a time, we woke up many years ago in Peshinungwa to find out that we had been burgled. And it was my mother who was screaming, "Oh, they've stolen, they've robbed us, oh, Fimi, oh, Fimi, oh, Fimi." And my dad was upstairs in the bedroom, and he descended, very big, heavy guy, and you could hear him on the wooden stairs, and he came down. He said, "What is going on?" My mom says, "We've been burgled." He says, "What did they take?" He says, "Well, they took a TV. And then they were hustlers because they went to the kitchen and they scattered the jollof and the chicken." So my father checks the stuff. Apparently we had 2 TVs in the house, a small one and a big one. They took the big one. Problem is the big one was the spoiled one. So my father looked around, he looked for his books. All his books were intact. He looked for his piano. His piano was there. He says, "They haven't taken anything." And he went right back upstairs. But my mother was panicking because somebody entering your house.
Because it feels very intrusive.
Exactly.
I've had that experience.
Yeah.
And I remember for weeks on end not being able to sleep properly.
Exactly.
Because I always thought, could they be outside my window once again?
Exactly.
And it took a while before
Indeed.
we were able to get back. The police didn't help. But let's not get into
How
that.
safe are you is the question that you will be answering today. There's a report that's out.
Yep. And it tells us that murder cases are going up. It tells us the regions that are not performing very well in terms of very specific crimes, and we'll be interrogating those figures in a bit more details and asking the question, why are those numbers going up? And
Indeed.
can we do anything to bring them down? Join us for that conversation around the 8 a.m. mark, and we'll also be celebrating with Airport View Hotel on their 20th anniversary.
Okay, 05555 How safe are you? Send us your WhatsApps. I'm safe with Thelma. I'm also safe with Valerie. And here she comes.
Hi. Good morning, my neighbors. On this side today, my guys, we'll be looking at what traffic looks like. Things in the capital, and then also we'll be, like T said, we'll be celebrating with the Airport View Hotel. They're celebrating the anniversary, and then also later on the yellow couch I'll be having a chit chat, and that's something we are keeping a lid on. We'll let you know when it's time because we are not sure yet. The hashtag to follow is GTV Breakfast. We are live on YouTube as the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, live on Facebook as the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and also look for the hashtag GTV Breakfast on Twitter and Instagram, and then you find us. Handing over back to you guys.
Okay, so
I'm showing secrets to come.
yeah, let me see. Boom. All right. You're welcome to the show. We've got sports news at 7 o'clock. Maltiti will come and do her thing. She never talks about ITU. Yeah, she's always choking Manchester United.
Please, today there are crucial matches.
ITU know they do it. But she's always choking Manchester United. And she's wearing our favorite color to red. Well, she gives you your sports news at 7 o'clock.
When in doubt, wear red. But when in doubt, should you give your infant Morikoko? There was a recent report, and we want to interrogate that as well at the 6:30 mark. For now, Maltiti is standing by with breakfast news.
Yes, indeed. You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us on GTV Breakfast News at 6 a.m. where we give you all the current happenings around Ghana and the world over. The story is making headlines this morning. President Akufo-Addo holds discussion on Head of State Award Scheme. We'll also do some education stories and take you to the foreign front. Let's start off with President Akufo-Addo has held discussion with the Head of State Award Scheme at the Jubilee House in Accra. It was a conversation on a research work dubbed Social Value Report of Ghana by the scheme on their contribution with voluntary work under the scheme and returns to the Ghanaian economy. The paper found that the voluntary work of 5,999 youth in 2020 contributed 18.7 million Ghana cedis to the economy. President Akufo-Addo applauded the sacrifice and said the report will give government a fair idea of the contribution of such youth-related programs to the economy.
The Head of State Award Scheme is a program universally designed to meet the needs It's an interest of all young people. It is an enriching program that invites young people to participate in a number of activities over a set length of time. It embraces a very wide range of adventurous, cultural and practical activities which young people may choose to participate voluntarily in their own time under the guidance of trained adult leaders and volunteers. The program encourages young people to go out and experience the world around them, to provide voluntary services to others, to train physical strength through sports, to develop a spirit of adventure and discovery, to develop personal interest and social skills. The meeting with President Akufo-Addo was to assess the impact of the voluntary work by the youth under the scheme into the economy and findings of the Social Value Report of Ghana. The Executive Director, Mr. Peter Akai Anum, said with more investment into youth-oriented programs, they can make meaningful contribution to the Ghanaian economy.
On the whole, within the year 2020, young people's contributions to Ghana's economy through the research was valued at 18.7 million Ghana cedis. When we're talking about their contribution, we're looking at the internship program, the voluntary activities, the skills engagement that they would have been paid for, which was actually done for free by the young people themselves, valued at 18.7 million Ghana cedis.
President Akufo-Addo was impressed with such research work on the scheme's contribution to the economy. He assured them of government support to enroll more people onto the scheme.
Helping the young people is helping the majority of Ghanaians. The young people are the majority of people in our country. So any focus on the development of youth, we're talking about focusing on the development of the majority of Ghanaians. The arithmetic is that simple. It's not philanthropy or do-goodism. It is just dealing with the naked reality. The majority of the people of our country are young people under the age of 35. So if you're focusing on them, you're focusing on the majority. And those of us who are Democrats, majorities matter to us. Yes, as a basis for social and political action.
The research work is the first of its kind in Africa, and they hope to increase the participant numbers of the scheme to 500,000 by 2025.
Let's move to education now, where the inability of most parents, particularly in rural communities, to provide their wards with school uniforms affects not only their learning, but also school enrollment. Pupils who attend school without the required school uniforms or ragged clothes are often mocked by their better endowed classmates, resulting in majority of school. For this reason, a charity organization, Promac Foundation, and its partners provided school uniforms and footwear to Agomo Primary School in the Bongo district of the Upper East region.
Promac Foundation's prime duty is to encourage the targeted individual to exploit their potential through healthier life choices, education, capacity building, advocacy, and research. The Agomo Primary School is currently faced with numerous challenges, including inadequate furniture. Most of the pupils lie on their bellies to write. A Class 4 pupil, Regina Agumbiri, commended Promac Foundation for the gesture. She appealed to government and benevolent organizations to support them with furniture.
They are still appealing for chairs and tables.
A parent, Madam Linda Ayamga, was grateful to Promac Foundation but was worried about the inadequate furniture in the school. Executive Officer of Promac Foundation, Mrs. Corazon Aquino Awulugutu, said, for some years now, the organization has supported several institutions in the country, including an orphanage home in Sirigu in the Kasarana West District, among others. She said most deprived schools were challenged with numerous problems which affected academic activities. Hence, the donation. A retired educationist, Mr. Awoka Anthony, also commended Promac Foundation for the gesture and appealed to government to provide the school with the needed teaching and learning materials. For GBC News, Samuel Ayama, Agomo.
Now, Ghana is losing its youth population to non-communicable diseases, accounting for over 50%. Government is therefore prioritizing the prevention and control of the risk factors to reduce the burden of the disease in Accra on Monday, an implementation policy and strategy, as well as the Norwegian government-funded Kente project was launched. A report by Sarah Fori.
Non-communicable diseases are chronic. Hence, they require long-term treatment. They are said to be the leading cause of disability and death worldwide. In Ghana, most NCDs usually take years to diagnose, yet NCD services are not affordable, neither the availability and accessibility of specialist care. According to the National Health Insurance Authority, about 15% of claims paid are for hypertension and diabetes-related cases.
Interventions to prevent and treat NCDs and reduce the risk factors remain the most underfunded public health issue globally.
Non-communicable diseases is linked to poverty and loss of productivity, which also hinders economic growth.
NCDs pose a significant development and poverty challenge, and the misery in the families that lose a mother or a father to an NCD. It's a poverty challenge. It's an inequality issue.
The WHO NORAD initiative, referred to as the Kente of NCD services in Ghana, is a Norway-funded project to support the prevention, screening and treatment of NCDs. Its objectives translate into the national policies and strategies where mortalities will be reduced by 33% and those accessing treatment increased to 80%.
The national NCD policy and strategy that's being launched today is an excellent example of the kind of country-led priority setting which is critical in ensuring that NCDs finally are given the necessary attention. This is especially true when constrained resources prevent governments from sustainably implementing NCD interventions and services that ensure prevention, screening, early detection, care and rehabilitation of these diseases and conditions.
The Minister for Health, Mr. Kweku Agyemang-Manu, said government is committed to funding and providing infrastructure and equipment at all levels of the health system for the benefit of citizens.
We can be efficient at tackling the NCDs if we commit to the following objectives: reduce exposure to risk factors that contribute to NCDs, strengthen early detection and management to reduce morbidity and mortality from NCDs. The strategic implementation of these objectives over 5 years, 2022-2026, will cost the nation the cedi equivalent of $110 million.
The roundtable dialogue concluded on giving psychosocial support to patients with NCDs and their caregivers, promoting wellness, reducing stigma, and collaborating with religious bodies to bring NCDs under control.
Now, harmful toxins that emanate from plastic waste disrupt women's menstrual cycle and the production of spermatozoa in men. This information was emphasized when the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, MESTI, launched a plastic waste management campaign at Kwehu Abetifi in the Kwehu East District of the Eastern Region. District assemblies were urged to pass bylaws to ban kinky sellers from using plastic to wrap food. The campaign is to help create awareness about the economic benefits of plastics as well as their harmful effects on the environment.
The Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, MESTI, initiated the plastic waste management to help reduce plastic waste in the country's environment and at the same time show how useful plastics can be when properly managed. The campaign, which is christened "Plastic is a Resource, Not a Waste," forms part of the ministry's measures to promote collection, segregation and recycling of all kinds of plastic. The Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Kwekwe Fiye, who delivered the keynote address for the occasion, expressed worry about the indiscriminate littering of plastics in the environment. He spoke about the unfavorable effects of plastics on the reproductive systems of men and women.
Dangerous aspect of this plastic that we ingest is that there is something called leaching. That means the binding substances sometimes leach into our bodies and disrupt our internal functions. As a doctor, I know if a female The plastics, their chemical composition share the same structure as part of your hormones, and it can disrupt your menstrual, cycle and cause problems. If you are a male, it can also enter the system and also interfere with spermatogenesis.
Segregation of plastic waste from other kinds of waste helps to easily identify items that can be recycled. A program manager at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, Madam Charlotte J. Marfo, outlined some benefits associated with the recycling of plastic waste.
The circular waste economy presents us with one such opportunity that offers jobs. So we are looking at sustainable resource use, we are looking at technological innovations, and the job creation within the ecosystem.
The Kwawu East District Chief Executive, Isaac Japon, pledged his commitment to ensure that the objective of this campaign was achieved. The St. Dominic Senior High School did a sketch on the importance of recycling plastic waste.
Artisanal fishermen at the Tema Newtown Canoe Landing Beach say for about 3 weeks now they have not been able to go fishing due to shortage of premixed fuel. They are therefore appealing for government to increase the quantity allocated to each fishing community and also ensure strict supervision of its distribution. Their concern is that there are too many middlemen in the premixed fuel distribution chain these days, with each of them adding his cut and pushing the price up. The fishers expressed this concern when GBC News visited the beach to look at their situation about a week after the Fisheries Ministry announced July and August as the close season.
When GBC News visited the Tema Newtown Canoe Landing Beach, some of the fishermen were mending their nets while others were just sitting down. Their most concern is that for more than 2 weeks now, they have not got premixed fuel for their work. As they narrated, they used to buy this 75-litre blue container full of the premixed fuel at 520 Ghana cedis, but now the same quantity is selling at 1,900 cedis. They attribute the sharp rise to the influx of middlemen in the distribution chain.
Some of them that are not fishermen will come and buy the fuel and be selling it a higher price to the fishermen. So the best thing for, let me say, the government to do is that they should send it to, let me say, filling stations so that they will go and buy it there. I think for that place, nobody is going to sell it.
Others said those who distribute the fuel create artificial shortage just to exploit them. Some also said for about 3 months now, premixed fuel has not been supplied to them. They want government to ensure effective supervision of the fuel distribution to stop unscrupulous people from exploiting them.
Staying on agriculture, farmers and commuters on the Eyima-Enchira stretch of road in the Kintampo South District of the Bono East region are appealing to government to urgently work on the deplorable road that connects the two communities. They say a good road will enable them transport their farm produce easily to the market.
According to the residents in the area, the communities along that stretch are endowed with cash crops such as cashew, cassava, yam, among others, which can potentially propel the area's development. But the poor road network is a disincentive to development partners. Market women and inhabitants of these communities are the hardest hit by this situation, since vehicles conveying their goods refuse to go to the farms due to bad Farmer Mr. Ishaq Ouattara told GBC News that commercial vehicles simply declined to come to communities in the area, thereby impacting negatively on their local economy. Madame Susanna Assan, who told GBC News she is in the cassava business, expressed worry over the situation. Mr. Yao Ado was equally worried over the bad road network in the area. A unit committee member in the area, Mr. Steve, said communities such as Botenso, Banda, Wenchi, and Subinso are always cut off from Anyima in the rainy season. When contacted, the district chief executive for Kintampo South, Mr. Opokunyame, said all the deplorable roads in the district will soon be fixed.
We've collected data on all our roads. Those that need rehabilitation, the critical ones, we've submitted everything to federal roads. So we are waiting that we get approval for its construction. So we are seriously working on it.
It was observed that the bad road network has also affected quality healthcare delivery in the area. For GBC News, Samuel Ayama, Enyima.
The 14th prosecution witness in the ongoing murder trial of slain military officer Major Maxwell Adam Mahama has told the Criminal Court 1 Division of the Accra High Court that residents of Dintro Boase fled from the town after the military stormed it. The investigator in the case, Chief Inspector Samuel Ejakwa, said he could not tell if their action was in fear of what had happened, but they abandoned their town after the army took over following the murder of the late soldier.
2022, while under further cross-examination from defense lawyers led by Inimado, Chief Inspector Samuel Ejakwa said the army stormed the town after the incident. However, the town was deserted due to the presence of the military. Answering why persons who were not captured on the videos were arrested, he said the arrest was made through intelligence and information received. Chief Inspector Jakwa also informed the court that all the suspects in the alleged lynching of Major Maxwell Adam Mahama were arrested and a warrant issued by the court for the arrest of those who are yet to be apprehended and publications made by the police in the public for their arrest. Major Maxwell Adam Mahama was allegedly attacked and killed by a group of youth in Dintro Boase on the morning of May 29, 2017, when he was on a morning walk through the town. According to information, his alleged killers claimed to have mistaken the late soldier for an armed robber because he had a gun strapped to his waist. 22 suspects, including one female, were initially arrested in connection to the crime, but was reduced to 14 suspects during committal proceedings. The 14 suspects currently facing trial include former Assembly member of Dintro Boase, Mr. William Ba. They have all pleaded not guilty to charges of murder, abetment to murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. The court, presided over by Justice Maria Mawusu, a justice of the Court of Appeal, sitting with an additional responsibility as a High Court judge after the incident. However, the town was deserted due to the presence of.
On the foreign front, the number of people killed by gunmen in a series of raids on several villages in Nigeria's Central Plateau State has risen to more than 130. Gunmen and dozens of motorbikes attacked at least 4 remote villages in Kanam area on Sunday, shooting people dead, including children and young men.
Traditional ruler in the area said that 135 villagers were among the dead. He said 16 members of a self-help vigilante group were also killed. Police and the local officials confirmed the deadly attack but did not specify the casualty figures. The attackers stole livestock and burnt down dozens of homes. Hundreds of people have been displaced and some are missing after the attack. Residents are complaining that security forces took nearly 24 hours to arrive after the raid. They said this is the worst violence they've ever known in that area. Nigeria is grappling with a wave of violence by armed gangs who frequently carry out killings and kidnappings for ransom, mostly in unprotected rural communities.
And that's how we draw the curtain on GTV Breakfast News at 6 a.m. I am Multi Decider Sadiq will take the weather reports now, after which the show continues. Stay with us.
And they call me UJ. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, we just back to the next level. Get it to the next level. Get back to the next level. Get it to the next level. Well, when you need a shoulder to cry, run on my pampers, so we try to suicide. Yeah, let bygone be bygone. I didn't see what the button go do. We go straight to sad. Take you to next level. Oh, my baby, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The energy next level. But baby, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Take you to next level. Oh, my baby, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't code next level. Excessive drinking can be detrimental to health. Not recommended for persons under 18 years, lactating mothers, and people sensitive to caffeine. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Hey, tell me what? Tell me what? Hey, tell me what? Tell me, beer.
They ma worry me. Watch me, you come one week, Mr. Oh, now who
Hey, Boga, now then. Senior, name me a new man. Cut down, my business is a collapse. I'm out of balance.
So who take quick credit in car?
Quick credit?
Yes, quick credit. Who pesika? Eddie start here, you may be. Who here be seen Eddie a true with we a government and a private worker. Who pesika they are till hot so. Who here Busumi Juma. Who here Sikadia be temper so. Quick credit, we ma loan. And what you are in kakra. Now, a little some Cassian say, a collateral free loaner, susu, savings, account opening, and a deposit as MBL. You hear me say, who Ghana card 2022 year, 1 year Juma, now one hour young. Who need excuse here? Quick credit to 03022 and 05969 20833. But see now quick credit take us auto.
Listen, if Ghana is malaria free by 2030, it means the nation will be saving more than $22.1 billion, and that can go into developing other sectors. We are better off acting now. This is why I call on you, our partners in the private sector, to adopt malaria interventions for your staff and communities. I also encourage you to support the National Malaria Control Program and the Ghana Health Service to fund the implementation of malaria control interventions. This will go a long way to ensure that malaria control is scaled up to reach everybody in the country. Join me in saying zero malaria starts with me.
you.
Another real life story. Another brilliant classic. Hustling from Taka to Mamprobi, from assignment to Kotobabi, with a burn under the sun, but still give judge.
Once again, today is the 12th of April, 2022. There's a big conversation on non-communicable diseases. We flagged it yesterday on our show on Health Check, around about this time. And so the Prime Minister of Norway, the President of Ghana, and the WHO boss will be converging for a conversation. And that means that your favorite way to get you late for work will end at 9 o'clock today. And then we'll take the feed live from that conversation. So don't be too worried if we go off at 9. We're bringing that conversation right here on the channel of the nation, hashtag GBC Ghana, hashtag my name is hashtag Kafui Day, and it's now time for hashtag Health Check. So today we're looking at how to feed those little ones, the infants, on the back of some cocoa conversation that was happening last week. Mori cocoa and you people boozing your children. Why? No good, though. It's important to feed your children appropriately and in a healthy way. And to do that, we have a doctor for babies and children who's here with us. Her name is Dr. Hilda Mantibia Boy. She's the Vice President of the Pediatric Society of Ghana, and she's got all that paw on the tips of her fingers. Hilda.
Hello, Kafui.
What did happen?
Everything cool.
Oh, you just speak Pidgin?
Small.
Nice one. I like the vibe. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, I'm fine.
How are the little ones that you take care of?
Oh, they are well.
They're well, eh?
They are okay.
How do they say thank you to you when you take care of them?
Thank you. Some will say me that say.
Okay.
And some will just smile at you.
And the ones who can't talk yet.
The ones who can't talk.
All right. So we're looking at feeding of babies during the first year of life. For those ones who can't say much. So it's an integral part of anybody's life, especially these young ones. And since we are taking the decisions for them, or parents are taking the decisions for them, we thought it would be a good opportunity to have this conversation today. So, what are some of the essential tips for feeding infants?
The infancy begins from birth. So, under 1, that's an infant. And under the age of 1, we have the newborn, which is up to 28 days of life. And after that, you are like an infant. So all of them are below 1 year and so are infants, but we have the newborn period. And after that, within the first 6 months of life, the World Health Organization recommends breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding for newborns. And that is what we also recommend for babies, because it has all the water and all the nutrition and everything that baby needs within the first 6 months of life.
Okay.
So exclusive breastfeeding.
Just curious, what's inside breast milk apart from water?
It has the vitamins, it has all the nutrients, proteins. It has everything that baby needs within the first 6 months.
It's a meal in a book.
It's a meal on its own, a complete meal on its own with water added.
Wow.
Yes.
God
So
is
it
great.
has everything that baby needs.
Everything is there.
Everything that baby needs. And the procedure or the process of breastfeeding itself is something that adds more. So there's bonding, it promotes bonding. The process of you breastfeeding your baby adds a lot of benefits, and it improves the IQ of babies and helps them to grow aside the nutrition alone. So it helps with the development of the babies as well.
Is it pleasurable for mommies? I've never breastfed any babies before.
Is it pleasurable for mummies? So what I'd say is, if you're breastfeeding your baby, you are happy knowing that you are sort of giving your baby life, and your baby is hungry, and you are doing the feeding yourself. So it gives you that joy. You look into your baby's face and your baby is happy, sucking, not even focusing on you per se, but
focusing on the food.
Focusing on the food. But baby is happy and comfortable, and that makes you happy as a mother. There are a few cases though that mothers may not be able to breastfeed their babies, and for that we have options for them, and we help to take care of all those situations. So if you find yourself in a position where you're unable to breastfeed your baby, do not feel inadequate.
Okay, good. Should babies be fed on demand? It's like you go to an ATM and you put your card in, money should come out. So when the baby says, nah, you just put a nipple in its mouth and say, hey, keep quiet.
Keep quiet.
Keep quiet and eat.
Okay, so within that 24-hour period, we want baby to be fed about 10 times. That is 10 times. So that comes to about 2 to 3 hourly in some cases. So every 2 to 3 hours or so, baby should be fed. When baby is asleep though, you may not have to wake baby up every 2 to 3 hours to feed, but baby may naturally wake up him or herself, and then you know that baby is looking for food and you give the breast milk. So about 10 times in the 24-hour period for the breastfeeds should be okay. And
don't the breasts get tired? Is it every 2 hours putting this breast into the baby's mouth? It must be tiring.
The breast is hardy. It's tough. It's able to withstand all the pressure. And breastfeeding was part of the reason why the breast was made. For purpose. Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fit for purpose. So we've dealt with the feeding on demand issue between 2 to 3 hours, about 10 times a day.
Yeah.
And now, after 6 months, you've done your exclusives, and you're now going to introduce new foods. Where do you start?
Once baby gets to 6 months, the literature and the information that we all have is that the breast milk alone is not enough. So we had said exclusive breastfeeding, that's breast milk alone, up to 6 months. Now when baby turns 6 months, you need to add on other things. And that is when you have reached the complementary feeding period. So within that period, the family foods can be given to baby. Anything that is eaten in the house that is in a form that baby can take, it's okay. It just has to be soft enough. So mashed, if it's, let's say, fufu, even fufu once it's soft enough, baby can take it with soup. The only thing is that
you can give baby fufu at 6 months.
You can
plus?
give baby, yes, soft porridge,
Okay.
then potom, all the foods.
Potom is what? Is the mashed yam?
Yes, mashed yam or cocoa yam.
Okay.
So the cocoa yam boiled in a pot with some onions and the powdered fish, a bit of red oil, and you just mash it in a form that baby can take. And for infants, we do not encourage you to add salt to their food or to add sugar to their food.
Why not?
Their kidneys are not well developed, and it's not able to handle all the load that the additional salt is going to put on the kidney. So we do not encourage you to put salt in the food of the babies. And similar for the sugar. So they don't need sugar. The breast milk also has some sugar. And whatever food that they take, the body is able to take out the sugar that they need and even the salt that they need from it. So they don't need sugar from outside to be added to the food. The same for honey. Somebody may wonder whether you can add honey to the food. Oh, honey is naturally occurring. So, but for infants, we do not recommend you to add the honey to the food because it can cause them to have something we call botulism, infant botulism, because the honey can be contaminated by a germ that can cause them to become sick. So we do not encourage.
How does the botulism express itself? I mean,
so the baby may have difficulty feeding, inability to suck, become unwell, and you can see that baby is not well at all.
So no honey for the baby.
No honey for the baby.
All right.
No honey for the baby.
How about meat? I mean, you said everything can be mashed and soft. How about meat? How do we deal with meat?
The same. So it can also be cooked soft and then mashed for the baby. And in some cases, it can be blended. So the mashing, you can either do mashing if possible, or you use the tapori and the apotoyiwa.
Tapori is the grinder?
Yes, yes. So the wooden grinder or a blender where the family has a blender. And because sometimes we use it for blending a lot of spices and all, if you are able to afford, you can get a separate blender for the foods, so that the pepper and all that does not seep into it. And also for the pepper, they may have a lot of, the spices can be irritating to the stomach. So you don't want to add pepper spices to the meal of infants.
So meat is cool.
Meat is good.
How about wele?
Powdered fish is good.
Make wele soft?
Dear. So
I don't know. Wele is meat now.
Kavu, you're overing me this morning. I haven't thought about this before, but wele, the nutritional benefits of wele for an infant.
You should keep your shoes, right? Join us. We're looking at infant feeding right here on GTV Breakfast. Essential tips for feeding infants. And she gave us a definition. 0 to 28 is a newborn. After that, to 1 year, infant. And the first 6 months, it's 180 days, exclusive breast milk. Everything is there. Fat, the protein, water, everything, vitamins. It's all there. It's a meal in a pack. All right. And then after that, you start introducing them to family foods. I'm hearing the term for the first time. If you have any questions, I would love to hear from you. Thelma will read those questions out and Hilda will respond. 055 556 1034. 055 556 1034. We're looking at essential tips for feeding infants. So we are avoiding sugar, you are avoiding salt, you are avoiding pepper and spices. What else are you avoiding?
I guess those are the main things to avoid. And for inclusion, you need to consider food from the various food groups, not just one particular. So the meal of the infant should not be just carbohydrates. Let's say just cocoa or it shouldn't be just carbohydrate. It should be in a way that is balanced, just like the breast milk is balanced. So you need to consider some protein in there, and that is why we add the powdered fish to the meals, or the meat that is soft. It should have some carbohydrates, which often that is not a problem. It's really abundant and easy to find. The fats and oils should also be in there, and the vegetables should be in there, as well as the fruits. So for the fruits, in the same way, the same pawpaws, the same bananas, made soft, and they are able to take it in. So you don't really need to go out there and say that I'm looking for a canned food for baby. No, you don't. So you don't need to particularly go looking for canned food because you have an infant in the house. You can use the ingredients that we have around us to make them healthy meals. And so you just sort of fortify. So the weaning mix, for instance, it has protein in there, it has a carbohydrate in there. You make it, you can give it to baby. And I have said that you don't need to add sugar to it, not at all. After that, you can give the baby, let's say, mashed pawpaw or mashed banana or any of the fruits. You don't need to go looking for apples. We don't grow apples here, so apples are going to be expensive. If you can afford, that's okay. But there are many families who may not be able to afford. But you just make do with the ones that we have around. Our contomerates, our okra, all the foods that we have in Ghana can be made in a form that baby can take.
Okay.
And you just need to look out also for balance.
Right.
So, yes, so the frequency that you are giving to the food to the child is important. The amount you are giving to the infant is important. And then the quality, that is the food, the balanced meal from all the various food groups going in there is also important. And around that age, if you are feeding baby, you are aiming at about 4 times during the day. Okay. So you could say maybe breakfast, lunch, supper, and a snack in there. Snack, yeah. But you are still doing the breastfeeds in between. So
okay,
from
so the breastfeeding hasn't been banned?
No, it's not stopped. So you continue the breastfeeding, but you add on other foods. So the weaning foods or the family foods can be added from the 6 months. But you continue the breastfeeding until baby is 2 years or more if you so desire.
Okay.
Yes.
And if baby wants to eat, still take breast after 2, what do you do?
You can, except that at a point it becomes inconvenience, but the recommendation is up to 2 years. Yeah. You could go a little beyond, no problem. There was some time ago that they talked about extensive breastfeeding. You see 8-year-old boys sucking breast.
What?
And yeah, but that is not what we recommend. Yes, that's not what we recommend.
And you're at risk of getting bitten because now the guy has teeth or the girl has, they can bite the nipple. 8-year-olds, class 1 is still going for breast milk. Oh.
That's like, it's a phenomenon that exists, but that's
in this
not
country of Ghana.
Well, I haven't seen in Ghana, but if you go online, you see some pictures. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, 7-year-olds. So the recommendation is up to 2 years or more. So mother and baby stop when it's comfortable for them. And you know, within this period, some people may stop ahead of the 2 years. But once you've been able to do the exclusive breastfeeding for the 6 months and you start adding on, at any point in between, you just try and push as far as you can go. But if it becomes maybe you can go ahead and...
I can imagine a 7-year-old having a conversation on the playground at school. So what do you have for snack today? Oh, breast milk. Mommy's breast milk. I mean, how? At 7? Anyway, messages on 055-556-1034. You're talking family foods. Now imagine that there's a family of vegetarians. So what? They're going to be feeding their little 7-month-old just leaves and salads?
So even with the
beans.
Like vegetarians, you know, they also are taught about the foods, balancing the meals. Okay. So they are aware, and so it's easy for them to know that, okay, this is where baby will get, the infants can get the protein from, this is where they can get the carbohydrates from, the fats and oils, the veggies are already in the mix, the fruits are already there. So it's still possible to do the vegan.
All right. Cocoa was in the news last week, and it had to do with porridge that is fermented to some degree, and there were some warnings from some nutritionists and dietitians that we risk turning our little babies into mini drunkards. You know, is it possible for cocoa to make a baby drunk?
Okay, so I haven't seen any baby. I've been practicing as a doctor for over 10 years, taking care of babies, infants, and other children for more than 8 years now, and I haven't seen any baby or infant get drunk from having taken cocoa. And as I was speaking with our gastroenterologist yesterday, Dr. Alpha, she said that she hasn't seen either. So I should just tell the people that it is not something that we see, okay? And the fermentation process that occurs for the corn or the maize goes through before the porridge is made, it is not soaked for an extended period of time. Is if they are using for alcohol, there are some other countries which use the maize for wine, and or if they have different processes that it goes through. But for the ones that we use for our porridges here, soaked for 2 days, 3 days, it goes to the mill. That is not a period that is like long enough to cause it to become so fermented that it will cause any intoxication. No. So no. And this is food that parents have been using, our great-grandparents have been using. It's worked for us. The only thing though is that it needs to be balanced. So after the age of 6 months, the infant formula can be added in proportions so that it fortifies the meal, or the powdered fish and all that. So it shouldn't be just raw carbohydrates. No, otherwise the baby can developing kwashiorkor.
We do not want that.
No, we don't want that. So whatever meal that we are giving to our babies should be balanced.
Alrighty.
It shouldn't be just carbohydrates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've debunked that myth now, right here on GTV Breakfast. Your baby is not at risk of getting drunk. All right. She's very sober, and she's got all your messages. Her name is Thelma.
I'm having a good laugh, because the kind of things people are messaging, you know, these are your thoughts, not my thoughts. I'm laughing, but I don't side with any of the things you're saying here. So questions coming in. Good morning, Dr. Hilda. You'll love these ones, trust me. Infant feeding. At what point must family include routine immunization during infant feeding? What are the food introduction steps after 2 years? Must we continue routine immunization after 2 years? And he's going on to say Cerelac and N1 compared to local cuckoo, which one is more nutritious, and can we combine both Cerelac and N1 and local cuckoo?
Okay, so with the let me start from the food ones. So we know the foods that usually we will give to them. If it's cocoa, you just fortify it either with the powdered fish or with the infant formula from the 6 months, and you can give to baby. The proportion or how you are mixing it matters. My concern with mixing like these 3 different things is that you may end up causing the baby to have diarrhea, because if these things they are not mixed in the right proportions, it will irritate the stomach and there will be diarrhea, or in some cases constipation. So the mixing matters. And even with the infant formula, like the milk that we give to babies after 6 months, there are proportions. You don't just fetch and mix and give to baby. There are proportions. So if it says that maybe 3 scoops to this amount of water, you do it exactly as is recommended. And if you are mixing with porridge too, it will be the same volume of liquid to that. Another complementary feeding is that when you are giving the food to the babies or the infants, it shouldn't be too light. So it shouldn't be something that as soon as you turn the spoon, everything drips off the spoon. It has to be energy dense, like the nutrition portion, it should be thick. It shouldn't be like hard, but it should be thick so that you know the consistency is not like light and just dripping like water.
So that if you give them only 2 and they refuse to take more, they are still
yes
full.
And you continue to give them the breast milk anyway, not that you are stopping the breast milk. So that continues to provide some nutrition additionally.
Okay, routine immunization and infant feeding.
Yes, so the routine immunization, you start from birth. Once baby is born, baby gets the BCGs, and it continues like that according to the schedule in the you know, they have a weigh-in book. There's a schedule in there, and you follow. So once you go at birth, 6 weeks, you go back. The nurses will tell you the next time you need to come, and you can see the schedule on the booklet, in the booklet.
So grab a pen. This is going to be a marathon. You may want to make some notes and read back to Dr. Hilda when I hand it over back to you. Good morning, trusted team. This is a nice topic. I think children should stop breastfeeding after 6 months and give the breast back to their fathers. The babies came to rent, not to take over. That's somebody's views, not mine.
I knew that comment like that was going to come.
How many months are you supposed to give a child water after birth? That's another question. Can you introduce babies to milk after 6 months? I don't know what kind of milk this is.
Can we take some answers
regular milk?
So water before 6 months, not recommended, because breast milk has all the water that baby needs. In some cases, however, when babies are on infant formula rather than breast milk, they may have constipation, and at certain points in between, we may recommend water. But otherwise, exclusively breastfed babies do not need water.
Where are they getting the water from? It's coming from mommy drinking water.
Yes,
Mommy's drinking. So is it a function of how much water mommy drinks?
So whatever mommy eats goes into the breast milk, and water is part of breast milk. So if you want, you can just test it. Breast milk expressed, you put it, it's in the bottle.
Test it. I don't know how many women who is
too bad. Okay, so the bottle, you put the bottle down, you see that it settles.
Okay.
And it's just a thin layer that is like fat at the top, you know, like food at the top. But the rest of it is water.
Okay.
So breast milk has more than enough water.
Enough water.
More for baby, enough.
Please, no awake for your baby, please.
So,
the thing is inside the boobs.
There was something else I think we forgot.
Go on. Should I go back?
Yes.
Milk to babies.
Yes, so from the age of 6 months, we have infant formula that baby can take. Before the baby is 1 year, don't give the baby the evaporated milk.
What about the plant-based
It's not
milks,
recommended.
like soy milk? Some children love Vitamilk, and the others almond milk, coconut milk.
So those are
those
possible.
Okay.
Those are possible. But the evaporated milks are not recommended until after the age of 1.
Okay, so we are learning more and more. Should it be appropriate to feed an infant with cooked beans that's mashed?
After 6 months?
Yes, after 6 months, they can eat anything.
And he has more about what should the feeding modalities be, what is the age or month you have to start feeding an infant.
Aaron wasn't watching. It's after 6 months.
After 6 months.
After 6 months.
Aaron watched the show from the beginning, all right?
My mom wasn't having enough breast milk, hence she was advised to chew more granite to boost her breast milk. What's Dr. Hilda's take? Nate Abraham Tete is asking.
Does granite improve
breast
quality?
I haven't seen any literature that suggests that the breast milk quality or quantity will improve when you take sometimes they say go and chew the granules and the corn. The only thing is that it's a relaxing procedure. Like when you are chewing away, you are relaxed. And relaxation helps with breast milk production and like if you are stressed out, no matter how much you are eating or drinking, all of it will come out as urine. You need to be you need to be like relaxed for you to be able to produce enough breast milk for baby. And when you take the granules and the what's the name, the corn, you are likely to also become thirsty anyway, and so you will drink water.
And then it's a kind of indirect process.
Yes, so indirectly the relaxation and then probably the
it tells you that back in the day they may not have had the actual signs, but they were onto something, so they knew what they were doing. Here's one: is it okay for daddy to feed on the excess breast milk when baby is full? In Accra.
Guys, this thing is about infant feeding, not daddy's drinking breast milk.
But the thing is in excess. So can you help the process? Can daddy help mommy by?
He's fully want breast milk from mommy from.
Your viewers are over me today. They have over me.
I mean, how?
But
I told you would enjoy these.
What I'd say is that around the newborn period, when baby is born fresh, mother is likely to be producing a lot of breast milk, and baby, because they have like a small tummy, they may not be able to take all of it at the time. So that is a good time for mother to start expressing the breast milk and storing. So all the excess breast milk shouldn't go into daddy's mouth, but into bottles for storage. It can be stored in the freezer, a freezer that is closed after like 3 months, so that when mother starts work, she has some breast milk, so like a breast milk bank that she can fall back to help with the exclusive breastfeeding, so that she can push it to get to the 6 months that we are recommending.
I think the two daddies are very disappointed right now, but I'll continue reading messages. Good morning. Our doctors in Ghana always want their voice to be heard for Ghanaians to know that they are working. Makoko is good for we the Ga. Please, no strike from Ni Atla. Makoko is the morikoko, the corn porridge, and he's saying it's good. So for them, it's working. You shouldn't come and say anything else.
Yeah, all I said was they should make sure it's fortified, so that it's not just like
raw cocoa.
Just raw carbohydrates. Yes.
Put some fish,
powdered fish, or the infant formula. From 6 months, you can add infant formula.
Can we also fortify our own adult cocoa? Is it possible?
Yes.
I can also add my fish powder to my own cocoa.
Yes. Once you can handle the taste, and the infants, their taste buds are not looking for anything complex. Whatever you give them, they'll take it, so they are not bothered.
Good morning, Honorable Cap and Doc. In fact, ever since you started giving us such education, myself and my family have been super beneficiaries. Our baby has grown so well. My question is about my baby's weight. 9 months, weighed 11 kilograms. Is it normal? Giving up antibiotics when baby is sick has been very busy in New Edubiase.
All right, so at 1 year, we expect the baby to weigh 10 kilos, or the infant to weigh 10 kilos. Like, that's like a general rule of thumb. However, it depends also on what baby's birth weight was. And when you go for weighing, you see that we chart it. We chart the weight, we plot it. When we see this weight, we plot it. So it also depends on where the baby is or infant is on the curve, on the growth chart that we plot. So once it's within normal range for the age, we are not worried. If you are giving excess calories, though, you need to watch it, because babies or infants can also become overweight from overfeeding.
He said antibiotics. How about antibiotics and babies?
Yes, so if a baby is sick, it's best to send baby to hospital. Baby can have a fever for many reasons. And you, as a mother or as a father who is not a medic, may not know. Even if you're a medic, it's good for you to send your child to hospital. I will not recommend over-the-counter antibiotics for infants.
Okay.
Last one.
Okay. Hey, sometimes the way I get bored when I see my baby sucking my wife's breast, please just leave the breast.
On that note.
And then if you take the breast milk from the freezer, do you heat it before using? Someone is asking.
Okay, so when you take...
And I'll hand it over back to you, Kath.
All right. So the breast milk, 3 things. The breast milk can be expressed and left outside for up to about 4 hours.
Okay.
And used. The breast milk can be expressed and stored in the fridge, not in the door handle, but in the back of the fridge where there's cold like temperature. And for some days, like 4 days, it can be there. When you take it out, you don't put it back inside. You use it all, and that's it. And to warm it,
cold, how do you warm it?
You warm it. You heat some water, and you swirl it inside the water. So you just move it about in the water, and it warms. And you can test it by pouring a little bit on the back of your palm. It just should be lukewarm. It shouldn't be hot. If you heat it up, you'll kill the nutrients. So you don't do that. If you pick it from the freezer, what you need to do is you allow it to thaw. Once it has thawed, the water that you have heated, you swirl it in, and you're good to go. And for storage also, try not to store too much in one container. Store just enough that baby can take, because once you take it out of the freezer, it can't go back into the freezer. Once you take it out of the fridge, it can't go. So have containers that are small enough or big enough to hold a meal. And you label it, the date that you stored it, and the time, and also that when you start picking from the freezer, you pick the oldest ones out till you have the younger, the
latest one there.
The latest one there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Just last question. How much milk is in a full breast?
It's difficult to tell, and it will vary for every woman. There are some people who have huge breasts, but
small milk.
The milk, it may not be as much as somebody who has a small breast. But another rule of thumb is when you are breastfeeding the baby, you offer the breast until it's sort of empty before you switch.
To the next one.
Yeah, you don't want to switch, because if you switch, you'll just be giving baby water. The foremilk is mostly water, and it's thirst quenching, and the hind milk is mostly like food, and it's satisfying. So you try to empty one breast before you move on to the other.
I'm fully satisfied. I feel like a baby who has had a full meal of good breast milk.
It's a Woody and check off.
Thank you very much.
And greetings to the Pediatric Society of Ghana. I know they are watching me. And my OT brethren from Isitabu, they are also watching.
They're all watching. Vice President of the Pediatric Society of Ghana, Dr. Hilda Mantibia. Boy, you can catch this conversation again later on tonight, 11:30 p.m. You'll get the full show again on YouTube, on Facebook, on DSTV channel 278. We've got sports. You stay. Do not go anywhere.
children breastfeeding conversation, and it was so interesting and dragging on. Thank you for joining us on GTV Breakfast Sports. It's time for you to know what's happening in your world of sports. And the stories making headlines is Real Madrid and Black Stars midfielder Baba Idrisu is back to recovery after he collapsed on the pitch in that La Liga game last Sunday. And RTU has been slapped huge sums of money as a fine for attacking match officials. Bechem United defender Samuel Kufuor also slapped with a 2-match ban for kicking his colleague or the opponent in that game when they met. And UCL, there's a lot happening. We'll bring you all the news in the UEFA Champions League. Let's start off with Real Madrid and midfielder Baba Idrisu is back to recovery after collapsing in a La Liga match against Atletico Madrid on Sunday. The Ghana international had to be rushed to the hospital following a head injury he sustained, leading to his collapse during the side's 1-0 over Atletico. The 26-year-old was captured in the club's gym following a recovery session on Monday after spending the night at the hospital. To legal issues in football, Premier League side RTU Real Tamale United has been fined huge sums of money payable within a mandated period of 14 days. The club was found guilty when their home fans invaded the pitch to attack match officials in their Premier League game against Adriana Stars. RTU were charged by the disciplinary committee of the GFA on 4 different counts of misconduct in breach of the Ghana Football Association GFA Disciplinary Code 2019. Still staying on legal issues in football, and Bechem United defender Samuel Kufuor has been slapped with a 2-match ban by the disciplinary committee of the GFA for stamping Asante Kotoko striker Frank Mbele Etuga. Kufuor stamped Etuga in the arm in matchday 19 encounter of the GPL after he had succeeded in clearing a ball to his advantage to prevent the striker from scoring, an incident that happened at the blind side of the center referee, hence escaping a red card. The player will pay an additional 1,000 Ghana cedi as part of the sanctions. Let's move to the UEFA Champions League, where Chelsea players to dream of a major Champions League upset. Their European title is on the line as they throw 3-1 heading into the quarterfinal second leg in Spain. Now the Chelsea manager admits he faces an almost impossible battle to survive in the competition against the 13-time winners.
Turning this tie around tomorrow night.
What chance? Well, maybe not the biggest chance given the first game's result and given the
Still going to be difficult in their next game against the Blues. According to him, Chelsea is one of the greatest clubs in Europe with very great players.
Coming live from the capital, this is the Breakfast Show.
Morning, my neighbor.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It's a good morning, and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast. Sizzling healthy.
Yeah, all the time. Okay, let's take a peek. Let's take a peek at
I brought my spine.
There are certain things that we do to help the children with their brushing.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast.
You want it served buffet style?
On-site restaurant.
Complimentary breakfast?
Off of your plate chicken vegetables. So in my lifetime, I haven't seen Ghana Black Stars win an African Cup.
Can I show what is written on the back?
Yes, definitely.
Where's the camera?
Just stand and turn. So what's your pleasure than Botras here at that time of the morning? So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast.
From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. We've got you covered with a trusted team.
Hello.
Yes, Daddy.
Oh, Sidi. With your voice, don't teach my okay. I can't live without you. Talk to me.
Daddy, the money.
Oh, yeah. I'm a. Thank you. Mobile money for you now that you'll be able to me. Heavy rainfall. Yeah, my wife. Where is it?
It's your Beneto. You think slave queens are cheap?
Oh, all that.
Just use ZPay to send me 1,000 Ghana cedis. After all, the charge is only 5 cedis.
No problem. Come inside. Surprise visit.
The money.
Okay. ZPay mobile money. ZPay.
Oh, thank you so much.
Don't mention.
I can even use the same ZPay mobile money to pay my bills. Now let's
dial *270# to pay all your bills with ZPay mobile money.
ZPay Shatumu Direct.
Ago! Sikaria, listen, I have good news for you. This is guaranteed to make you rich forever and ever.
I know what you're searching for. I'm alerting you.
Ajay, madam, please.
QNet does not make false promises.
What did Mama tell you?
Report suspicious activities at 0256 630 005.
Sorry. I'm trying to reach you. Please call me back. Thanks.
Good to have you here. And for those of you who are thinking, this is my grand, this is in kaftans, where did they get them from? Well, this is it's by the Fabric Hub NG. So they make me look nice. And I feel nice when I step out of home. So that's where you can go get their details. They're on Instagram, the Fabric Hub. Check them out for really great quality fabrics. And if you're lucky to, they can sew some really nice stuff for you too as well. All right, so yeah, check them out. Great stuff. Okay, now to the news. I want to start with introducing my guests. Dr. Eric Odro Osai is the General of the Internal Audit Agency. And Professor John Kokumalto is the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies, UPSA. Kafuide is a presenter at GBC, DTV to be specific, and we all owe. Obiadika. So, what am I talking about? I'll start with from home. So this is a news story on citynewsroom.com. ECG takes on GBC over 15.4 million CD debt. This is, so the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation is back in the news again over unpaid utility bills to the tune of 15.4 million. The state broadcaster was disconnected in October last year for failing to settle its indebtedness to the power distributor. And according to City News, GBC has not shown enough commitment to paying its debt, which earns it the 14th and 15th position on a list of 29 highly indebted clients of ECG targeted for disconnection. So the bottom line is, if we don't do some action, we so that's how serious it is. And my guests share in the same predicament because the Internal Audit Agency also is owing a good sum of money, and the Director General himself is here. Good to have you here. We're the debtors club.
Yeah. And I think we are in a different category.
No. There are levels in indebtedness. So let me just read the story. 6 state institutions owing ECG a combined amount of 8.2 million. Been given 3 working days to pay their debts or face disconnection. So we are looking at the United Nations Development Program. We're looking at the National Information Technology Agency, Kofi Annan Center of Excellence, Economic and Organized Crime Office, as well as the Internal Audit Agency. How much do you owe?
Well, they said we owe a little above 500,000 Ghana cedis.
Who said?
That's the ECG, okay. But I think we have issues into our new office. When we got there, there were some people already in that office. So the bill they brought was in the name of another organization, actually. Okay. So we advised that they go do the disaggregation and then bring us a bill that reflects the period in which we've been in occupation of the property. So that's what they are doing. But I must commend ECG because they are working. They needed that revenue to manage. In the past 1 week, we've been on state-owned organizations that they have to turn their fortunes around, they have to make profit, they have to operate in such an efficient manner so government will be able to also honor its obligations. So I think I'm happy they are going along that way. But my challenge is that there should be a national clearing house, because you've mentioned a number of state institutions, you've mentioned GBC, you've mentioned IAA. These are all government institutions who are funded by the government. Where is that clearing house where ECG meets with the government? So the government will say that, look, I owe you, you also owe government, because government has invested in the organization, you also pay dividend to government. Where is that clearing house that all these things can be cleared without it coming into the public domain?
Some kind of reconciliation?
That's right, because we have State Interest and Governance Authority that is in charge of all these SOEs. Yeah. So they should identify SOEs in the various sectors. They should look at SOEs that render direct services to government institutions. They should devise a standard mechanism where we can have an institutional clearing house chaired by the Ministry of Finance so that all these issues can be resolved. And I'm sure if we're able to resolve these issues amongst public institutions, SOEs can be functioning well. State institutions like the GBC, IAA, IOCO, and other important institutions will be able to function without difficulties.
So a clearinghouse is suggested.
I think a clearinghouse is very important, but I commend ECG. Okay. But they should not limit it to state institutions. They should go after other private institutions and other companies that are owing huge sums of money that have not been paid. They should chase them as well.
Have you had friends calling you to ask you, oh, Chairman, why?
I've had a lot of people. My board even asked me about it, and I produce all the communications we've had with them we've written a number of letters to them, and we've attached the bill they brought in the name of a certain company. I don't want to mention. It's a company that was occupying where we were.
Okay.
So I think in our case it can easily be resolved. Once they do the disaggregation and we know the portion of the bill that relates to IAA within the period that it has been in occupation. We went there in 2020 and they've given us a bill of over 500,000 Ghana cedis. It can't work out like that. So while they give us the exact bill, we'll have a way of working with Ministry of Finance to get a bill settled.
So your lights are on. You haven't gone to the office yet, but are you sure your lights are on?
No, our lights
the deadline
are on.
was yesterday.
Yes, our lights are on because we are negotiating. We are discussing it with them. But
you can't negotiate in the dark.
No, we can't negotiate in the dark. That weakens our bargaining power. No, that's not the way to go. But I understand they've opened their door for negotiation, and they understand the importance of state institutions. Okay. I think this is a fair step to, as a wake-up call to managers of state institutions and the Ministry of Finance that look, ECG is cash-strapped and they need money.
Who checks whether ECG is paying their bills?
Well, you see, they have internal auditors and external auditors, and the external auditors are making sure that these systems are working, especially SIGA. So I want to believe that they are paying their bills to themselves.
Would you be surprised if ECG were not paying their bills?
No, they are not paying their bill. That means they are not doing proper accounting. Because in management accounting, you have to cost your own electricity bill as part of your overhead cost. Okay. So your overhead cost must reflect in your management account. Yeah. And on an annual basis, they have to produce a management account for SIGA to review. So I'll be surprised if they don't put it in there. Then in that case, the financial statement, the management account they prepare does not reflect a true and fair view of their operations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Osang. Professor Mauto, how much is UPSA?
Good morning, Kamfi.
Yes. You have the figures, right?
Yeah, I think we alleged to owe about 1.6.
You are alleged?
Yes, it's alleged. That
okay, you didn't spend power.
But this is
what are you doing to fix it?
Let me also commend the ECG for the work they are doing. I mean, we expect the state-owned enterprises to, state-owned agencies to do their work very well, especially ensure that whoever consumes energy in this country should pay. And indeed, we all know that the energy sector debt is always a problem for the country. I mean, for virtually every government that comes in, because some of these debts were accumulated by state-owned enterprises to the extent that it gets to a stage that the government have to even bill these agencies out virtually every now and then. I think the last bailout was about 3 billion.
But your figure was 1.6 million.
Yeah.
And I thought you were disconnected and then reconnected.
Yes, but let's be careful.
You're running away from the situation.
No, let's be careful here. Like Director rightly mentioned, you see, you don't have to clamp all the state agencies together. There are some that genuinely they provide services without that income, associated income. Now, there are others that can also operate on their own. That's where SIGA comes in. That's where the Ministry of Finance comes in here. In the case of tertiary institutions, over the years, the government have always subvented us. What it means is that if you want us to pay, if you want the state investors to pay, then cost will be shared, or we have to share the cost or push every cost to the average student of Ghanaians. And if that is the case, because what we are supposed to charge, we are not charging it. Whenever fixed, like the fees that we have to fix are to be ascertained, we take into consideration subventions from government. So we do not really charge like, that is why in the private universities, they pay more than what the students pay in the public universities. It is because of some of these subventions. So if the government wants the universities to pay, then what it means is that they will have to know that all the costs will be pushed to the consumer, that's the student. And I think it is time. I wouldn't say that the investors cannot pay. Let's be mindful, because it also calls for that prudent management of resources that we use as state institutions, especially when we have investees generating internal revenues. I mean, some have very, very substantial IGFs that the ministry must do some level of, I would say, dialogue with them and see how best they can use some of the IGFs also offset. And besides, it also brings in this sound and prudent management when it comes to managing the expectation of on ECG. ECG, we all know, is in charge of power management, and when they supply power, we know most of these state institutions don't pay in the name of subvention. And I think it is time, and I also resonate with my senior colleagues' submission, that we will have to do a thorough introspection and then probably place some of the state institutions in a category beyond the normal institutions that do not generate any revenue for just rendering services.
Okay.
And I think, Kafi, I think it is time.
Okay.
We have this conversation.
All right.
Else, ECG is going down there.
Let me ask you a question. This came up yesterday. So there was a suggestion by one of our panelists yesterday, Bernard Odo-Techi, that state-owned institutions must be put on prepaid meters. Like a lot of the individual customers have a prepaid system.
Yeah.
There's no money, there's no power.
Yeah.
You don't owe ECG. I can't owe ECG now because it's a prepaid. I put the amount on my card and I pay, I get my power. If there's no money, there's no power.
Kafi, not all of them. Kafi, not all of them.
Is UPSA on prepaid?
Oh, not all the departments are on prepaid. Okay, so we have various segments. Okay, so for instance, virtually all our hostels are on prepaid.
Okay,
the university does pay a minimum amount for the hostels. So we do cost sharing arrangement to the students in the hostels. So the students pay for some of the facility that they use. Okay.
So every room has a meter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's prepaid?
Yeah, it's prepaid. Now, water is another issue. I mean, you cannot tell your students to buy water. So you have to incur additional costs to buy water for them. For UPSA, I think, I don't speak for UPSA, but I work there, so I know what goes in there. We've tried as much as possible to see how best, okay, we can manage some of the state resources very well, efficiently. Where we have gotten to, I don't think it's out of place for state institutions which generate additional revenue to start being responsible. Responsibility here is in context that please measure the resources that you use. Try and associate them in context that, look, indeed, where we are, whenever I'm out with my cost, let's look at estimating the cost of ECG or using light, water for the year. Plan towards it. Let's get to the stage where investors can tell the government, look, I spent this amount of money on ECG. Let's do cost sharing. We've gotten to that stage. Else, ECG is going down. Okay. And we are all talking about state-owned enterprises posing losses each and every year. Yeah. And some of these things are critical factors.
Big time.
And we always criticize them. We sit here, accuse them for non.
Well, I think actually it's good. They come after us individuals when we don't pay.
Yeah,
and they should come after the SOEs.
Yes, but you see, they should also change their ways a bit, especially the private sector. My brother, there are a lot of guys out there who are consuming without paying.
Yeah, so ECG must chase them.
They must chase
them. But let's focus on the SOEs.
You see, in the case of the prepaid meters,
does IAA have prepaid meters?
They are in the process of fixing prepaid meters for us. But let me also say that I know ECG is in the process of changing the postpaid for most of the public institutions into prepaid.
Okay.
And then in public financial management, I'm also aware that the government requires all public institutions to budget for electricity as part of their goods and services budget, so that in certain cases, government releases the money to these institutions to pay. So there is that system, but it cannot be general for all institutions, because some of the institutions render services that require that they should be on power 24/7. So you have the hospitals, you have GBC, you have other state institutions. You cannot, for instance, give Office of the President prepaid meter, or you cannot go to Kolebu Teaching Hospital and then put a prepaid meter there. So we need a national conversation on it. We need a general national policy on it. Do the categorization. Let us look at those institutions that need prepaid, those that need postpaid. How are they financed? With the current arrangement, electricity is part of the budget of state institutions. Does Ministry of Finance transfer these monies to them? Are you going to go back to the previous arrangement where Ministry of Finance pays the electricity bill for these people? And it's not only electricity, other utilities. So I think the clearinghouse is very important. Because government has also borrowed to support ECG. Yeah. So ECG also owes government. And it's not only ECG in the energy sector. We have Gridco, we have VRA, and other similar institutions. We have Energy Commission. So we need that clearinghouse so we'll be able to balance ourselves as state institutions and get a system running. The bottom line is that the average Ghanaian needs to see the electricity on 24/7. The industry needs it so that we can have our lives back.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. That's our conversation. Kicked off on ECG, Electricity Company of Ghana, power and indebtedness of state-owned enterprises. I am sure the PR unit of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation will respond to this particular news about the indebtedness of GBC to ECG, and watch out for that on gbcghanaonline.com, our very own website. So you can go check it out there, and I'm sure that the news will come in pretty soon. Now, let's still talk about money, because it makes the world go round. Some people say salaries paid through Momo will attract e-levy. And this is coming from the Ghana Revenue Authority. Workers who receive their salaries through mobile money platforms may have to brace themselves because a portion of their money is expected to be affected by the recently passed e-levy. According to the Ghana Revenue Authority, the manner in which the controversial law was crafted makes it imperative that the tax is factored into the revenue mobilization stream. So following the passage of, and the full name is Electronic Transfer Law, GRA has indicated that they are ready to implement it from May 1. So there's a countdown to e-levy in effect in a couple of days. That's going to happen. Today is the 12th, plus 18. So 19 days time, e-levy will be in effect. So a principal revenue officer and head of the project management unit at the authority told Joy News that salaries are paid from bank accounts onto mobile money platforms, and so that 1.5% will be deducted and sent into government coffers. So the gentleman is called Isaac Kobna Mwaku, and he made this known during a program called The Probe to demystify the new tax. So get ready. If you are paid your salaries through mobile money, e-levy will affect it. Dr. Osai, this is just a consequence of the law, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a consequence of the law, but the law is also very clear under Section 2. I think Section 2, subsection 2 of the law is clear on items on which the levy will not be imposed. Cumulative transfer of 100 Ghana, the basic. Transfer between accounts owned by the same person.
So if I have two mobile phones and I send from me to me?
No, from one bank account to the other, if it is owned by you. And then a transfer for the payment of taxes, fees, charges on the Ghana.gov system. So if the Ghana government is paying you salary from the Ghana.gov system, it will not attract. And then specified merchant payment, transfers between principal agent and then a master agent.
What does that mean?
A principal agent, I engage you to do something for me. I transfer the money to you. You're going to use it to do something for me. You're not supposed to pay tax. It's not for you.
So you transfer money for me to go and do something for you?
That's right.
Say you transfer money to go and buy cement for you?
That's right.
But how they know that this is what I'm going to do with the money?
Well, that's the challenge of implementation. and that's where GRA will have to come in. And then electronic, I mean, when you are clearing checks electronically, you are not supposed to pay the tax. So I think...
So where will e-levy be? I mean, if you have all these red flags, where will the thing affect our money?
Oh, direct payments. Assuming we transfer your salary into your account and you want to start spending, you want to buy things, you want to buy mobile phones. Once you pay or buy the mobile phones, you pay.
So if you transferred money from the .gov to my platform, there will be no tax.
There will be no tax.
The moment I start using, if I drive to Star Oil and decide to buy fuel,
you would pay, because it is a service you are benefiting and you are using the platform. You can decide not to use the platform. You can decide to go and withdraw the money and pay. But there is an opportunity cost there. That's why I've always been saying that people can choose not to pay. But if you are not paying, after 2-3 days, you advise yourself. Because if I have to transfer money to maybe my daughter or a relative at the University of Ghana, and then I use the cost of driving to University of Ghana, the traffic, the fuel, wear and tear on my vehicle, and the opportunity cost of time, as against sitting in my office and sending the money and paying 1.5, I would choose paying 1.5.
How about if I sent a transfer, electronic transfer from my account to my daughter's account?
They don't know that the person is your daughter. That's the problem. Because if it is to your account, then what you need to do is register your daughter's number in your name. So once you are transferring, it is from Kafuide to Kafuide. That you don't attract the tax. But if the number is in the name of your daughter is perceived by the tax system as a recipient of fund, and maybe you are doing some business with her, nobody seems to know. And that is the challenges of implementation. So if it is from one account to the same account, you don't pay the tax, else it will be double taxation. So these are the basics. But I would also expect GRA, education and sensitization. This is the law, but we also need administrative regulations and implementation guidelines. So these administrative regulations and implementation guidelines will break down some of these generic provisions in the law so that the average Ghanaian would understand it.
So this chap who is saying that salaries will be affected by the 1.5, under what circumstances would my salary be affected by this 1.5% tax? Okay,
if you work for a private person and the private person decides to transfer your salary to you from his Momo account, and the Momo account is not in the name of a company, it's in the name of that private individual, and the person is transferring it to your Momo account, it is deemed to be a business transaction.
But who pays the tax? He pays.
No, you pay. So then he will have to gross it up.
Sure, he sends my money to me and then I'm taxed.
No, you see, it is like the rent tax. The rent tax, you, the tenant, you don't pay. It is the landlord who pays. So they need the employer and the employee need to agree that because of the 1.5 levy, you may have to add 1.5 to my salary so I can pay at the other end. Or you pay and give me my salary in gross. That agreement will have to be reached. Else, before you realize, they will be deducting certain monies from your salary and you will start complaining. That's why I'm saying that these are implementation measures that GRA would have to work it out with the Ministry of Finance and everything will be fine.
So are you saying, just for clarity?
That's right.
If I'm a government worker who gets my salary via what, .gov?
Yeah, the Ghana.gov.
Ghana.gov
system.
No tax.
No tax.
Apply.
No tax, especially those on LEAP and those other. That's right. And then national service, NAPCO trainees. If they transfer the money to you and it is through the Ghana.gov system, but once you start spending, you are benefiting. You are using the platform. So it is a way of encouraging people to use the Ghana.gov system.
So is e-levy like a spending tax?
Well, it is. It is a spending tax because if you don't spend, you don't pay. If you don't spend, you don't pay. If you are going to buy admission forms from UPSC and then you buy it via Momo, you pay because you are benefiting.
But if I take cash?
If you take cash, yes, but then there is an indirect cost. If you take cash, you have to go with the vehicle. You have to be in the traffic. The opportunity cost of the time you spend to go there to go and queue, you could have used that time to get another money.
Pickpocket will take the money.
Pickpocket, there's the potential of that. So sit in the office in an air condition, send the money, pay 1.5, which is less than the wahala you go through. So I think GRA would have to help in this matter. But if you look at it, it's good. But my challenge is, how are we going to use this money? On a quarterly basis, I would expect government and GRA to account to Ghanaians. This is how much the e-levy has accumulated. This is how the money has been used. That is the best way of convincing Ghanaians and encouraging more people to use the platform so government can get money.
Professor Mato, you're nodding. What's your view on this? This mobile money, spending tax, e-levy. I mean, it's only 20 days, 21 days really. Or what, 19 days away from implementation.
My stance on e-levy has not changed.
For those who are watching you for the first time, what is your stance on e-levy?
It's an optional tax. Okay, once you decide to transact business through the virtual platform, you pay. Okay, and then if you also decide not to transact business through the virtual platform, you don't pay. So you have an option. It's not so that mandatory for you to pay e-levy. Now, Kafi, the only problem we know that in the short term is going to affect the very platform that we want people to migrate to, especially to ease out the perennial problems of carrying money on ourselves, attracting all sort of risk associated with, armed robbery or whatever the issues are. So people will be discouraged from operating on a virtual platform. However, like Doc rightly mentioned, it's instructive to know that you have the option to either transact on the e-platform or go out there and do a physical transaction of any payment that you have to effect. But most importantly, once again, we need to call on GRA to see to the implementation of this particular law. And once we start, once we begin the implementation, there will surely be some discoveries as well as observations, and that is where the expert comes in to advise. Okay, look, we've gotten to the stage that once we introduce a policy, we will always have a problem along the line. If we have not preempted it, then it means we are not, what do you call it, good planners. Okay. There will surely be issues. Like VAT was introduced. Even after it was reintroduced, there were issues that were addressed along the line. Today, people pay VAT willingly. I mean, they don't even feel. If they pay. No, you pay without knowing you are paying. And that is how the e-levy also operates. Okay.
Just to take us back. Yeah. When VAT was initially introduced, what was the percentage that they were trying to drop?
It was 17.55%. Then I think it reduced to, is it 12.5 or so?
Yes.
And even that one was classified into segment. So a portion was going to get fund, a portion was going to. So Ghanaians understood it. But over the years, it's back to 17.5.
Yeah, but there are also classes.
Yeah. So
it went from 17.5 down to 12.5 and then again.
Yeah, it's back again.
Yes. So this e-levy can actually go down and go up again.
Well, it will depend.
It will depend.
You see, for accountability purposes and for our viewers and listeners' sake, the e-levy Act makes provision for accountability.
Yeah.
Under Section 7 of the Act, it makes provision for the GRA to, on a quarterly basis, submit revenue performance report on the e-levy to the minister. So every quarter, they are expected to submit that report on how we are faring.
And if they don't, what are the sanctions if they don't?
If they don't, I'll look at the sanctions regime. But the sanctions are within the And then the minister is also expected to submit a report to Parliament in the mid-year review of the budget. So there are clear-cut accountability mechanisms within the PFM Act and then the e-levy Act.
When is the mid-year review?
The mid-year review is supposed to be the first week of July or second week of July.
So we should be expecting a report like that. I mean, if e-levy goes into effect on the 1st of May, by July we should be getting a report.
So. We should get two reports. One, the second quarter report from GRA to the minister, and two, the mid-year report as per Section 7 of the e-levy Act. That's right.
Okay. All right.
Right. See, but just to add, you see, sometimes I have issues with this issue of transparency. Okay. Now, if you really want the people to have confidence in you, why can't I cruise to GRA website every quarter or every month
and get the information
to get a figure as to how much they have collected?
Exactly.
You know, we have GRA collecting, and I don't need to wait for 6 months for the government to come and tell me how much they collected and how it was spent.
Exactly.
You see, these are things the average Ghanaian today, contemporary average Ghanaian today, want to see. And
accountability rolling.
Yes. I mean, allow the system to work.
Okay.
There are occasions that even parliamentarians even call on ministers to come and account for whatever they've done. And over the years, we have some ministries not even accounting. They will go and give excuses. And these are the things that people have issues with. Losing confidence in the economy and losing confidence in public officials, losing confidence in those who manage our resources. Look, Ghanaians are not pervasive, especially. I mean, if you are talking about paying taxes, I don't think we are. If people say Ghanaians don't like paying taxes, it's not true.
We like paying taxes.
We like paying taxes. No.
Nobody likes paying taxes.
We like good things.
It's about educating the people on the
what the taxes are doing.
Once I see that in front of my house, my road has been constructed,
then you pay.
Water has been supplied to my area. Look, Kafi, there are people who go to new settlement and have to virtually buy ECG poles.
No, you become a whole government on your own. Your own power, your own water.
You pay for water.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a normal thing.
To be sent to your area. Yeah. And when people go through this ordeal,
they don't want to pay.
They don't have that confidence in
No, I get your point.
So you see, even though the law provides that there should be that mid-year, submission of report. The authorities should make a conscious effort. You know, once upon a time in this country, we were assured that the road tolls, there will be accountability every month or so. And over a year, there was no accountability. And when we asked, we were told that accountability can only be possible when the auditors come. And once the auditors come and audit, then they are taking us through the law. But we were promised, when they were promising us that they will give us a monthly report.
We didn't hear about no auditors back
then. We didn't know that there was a system in place. Politicians be very mindful when they are promising, especially taking cognizance of the fact that people are watching you, and they are going to juxtapose your word with what you do.
Indeed.
At any given point in time.
Indeed. It's time for your messages. Thank you very much, Professor Mauto and Dr. Osai. Now it's time to turn over the microphone to you. Just before I do that, I was speaking to a Ghanaian who lives in Norway. He's been there for about 4 years. And I was asking, hey, so you guys have like some kind of e-levy business there? He said, well, we pay a lot of taxes. When he was a student, he was paying 30-something% of his salary in tax. Now he's working, he's paying 40-something%. And he says, man, I says, is it a lot? Is it too much? He says, what? Everything works. I haven't seen a pothole since I left Ghana. You know, everything, health is there, education. So he will pay the taxes because he knows what the money is doing. And that's basically what we just want. We want the taxes to be paid so that we also get the services that we require. It's not too hard to ask, is it?
No.
Not too hard. The messages are coming in thick and fast. Like, I won't say anything. Valerie, I say Valerie. I'm confused now, sir. Valerie's friend, Thelma. Your mind is there. Your mind is there. Valerie's friend, Thelma.
Alhadi has joined the conversations as we've had it since morning. Thank you for sending your messages. 05555 61034 is the number. Remember, these are comments made by those who are sending them and not the views of GBC. ECG must dialogue with management of state institutions at the end of every year for some part payments, but not wait till bills go out of hand. Alhaji Dauda, and he says GRA must first educate the Ghanaian media as to the question of what is e-levy.
They didn't do it.
Alhaji, the way to go. You are encouraging students to submit their assignments via email because you want to go paperless in your institution. Then you tell them if you submit via the email, you have to pay for contributing to the institution's agenda of going paperless. This is how the Prof. Mauter stance on the e-levy sounds, and it's funny. Obing Menu from Amasa Man. HM is also asking, Silas, illegal connection of electricity power is causing ECG too much losses, and they should do all that they can to stop illegal connection. More education ideas needed about e-levy from GRA to the public so that those political propagandists will stop misinforming the public about e-levy. Silas Odum says this from Mankesim. ECG, please off their lights because Ghanaians like light soup more than light in their rooms. One of the men is alleged to be saying it. So it's not me, it's a viewer who has sent this to us. ECG debtors. I perfectly agree with Dr. Eric Odosai. Government should have a clearinghouse for the purpose of settling of these debts. But alternatively, why can't public-owned institutions be mandated to use prepaid meters by exempting the critical key service providers like hospitals? That's what Abraham is suggesting. Aaron has quite a lengthy one. We all have to be each other's keepers. Matters relating to security should be a great concern to both civilians and the military. Security institutions were introduced just to protect life and property, and one of the core and primary duties of any political administration is to ensure that citizens are secured in the country and their lives are well protected. Point is, the judicial system must work very closely with security forces in the country to make sure that the right judicial process is administered with the right information on the ground, and it keeps going on and on. Aaron Babakuko Komisa. I'll go straight up and see what Mena Hunter is saying. Good morning. All the names over there, please. Don't we think with E-Levy 1, armed robbery cases will be on the ascendancy since many people will keep monies on them? 2, inflationary rates could be on the ascendancy. God bless our homeland Ghana. Mena Hunter Franco Bab from New Edubia say perhaps this might be the last one, and then I'll hand it over back to you, Kaf.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thelma with the messages 055-556-1034. And Thelma, you have a conversation on how safe we are. Yep. Yes. So there's a report that came out.
There's a report that came out, and it's telling us murder cases are on the increase. Last year was 30%. This year is 40%. And so those numbers are rising. Ashanti region is the number one murder, is the murder hub of the country. And I hate to say it, the central region has its own figures in terms of crime. We'll go and interrogate those figures a bit more and see why we are seeing what we're seeing. If it's an indication of what the legal system and prosecution system is like. So that conversation will be coming up around 8 a.m. And so you would want to stay around for that. Pick some tips on how to keep yourself and your family safe.
We are safe with you.
Yes, always.
You are dismissed to continue whatever you are doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thelma Taki comes up in 12 minutes with a conversation on safety. A couple of headlines here. Establishing culture of voluntarism, 100,000 youth targeted over 5 years. Front page of today's Daily Graphic. House-to-house water connection audit to commence, says Madam Cecilia Dapa, who I believe is in charge of the ministry responsible for water resources. She had to meet the press as part of the series at the Ministry of Information yesterday. Apiati residents to move to temporary settlement by May 1. Wow. Let's look at that story on page 27 of today's graphic. So in January, there was a big explosion that devastated a community called Apiati, and since then there has been an Apiati reconstruction implementation team. There's been some fundraising, and we had representatives of that team here last week to speak about raising funds for the community. And the chairman of the Apiati reconstruction implementation team, Benito Uwusu-Biu, has assured the people of Apiati that prompt action was being taken to remove them to temporary settlements by May 1, which is also the day that E-Levy kicks into effect. Last week, there were some storms which really affected them, and it was pretty sad to see that in the midst of their wahala, then the storms also came to give them more problems. So they want to prevent further hardship on the people, especially as the rains have descended. So yeah, there's a full story there in today's graphic. So they're talking about the displacement of the people. Some of them are still living in tents as we speak. And there was a downpour last Thursday that really affected them. But NADMO is working with the community to put them back on their feet. The speed of this operation has been quite remarkable. I mean, you do not see this kind of speed normally when disasters occur in this country. But for some reason, this one has started a whole new, culture. So these are pictures from when there was a downpour. As you can see, not pretty. So the temporary shelters flooded, the roads not that great. And yeah, so they are working on making sure that they move into their temporary settlements by the 1st of May. Talk to us, Dr. Asai, about response and planning and reconstruction.
Yeah. I think unlike the tidal waves response, this has been phenomenal because since it happened, they've given them a temporary shelter, and now they want to move them into permanent places, not as in where they will be forever, but they are reconstructing the entire township, and I think it's a good initiative. They should keep up the response rate, and then they should push further. From the news, they have earmarked 40 houses, but I think we need more than 40 houses. But in the interim, this is not bad. What we are seeing here is not the best. I'm happy they are collaborating with NADMO, and a whole deputy minister in charge of lands is chairing this process. So I think it's good. They should keep it up, except that they shouldn't wait for some of these things to happen. And I'll continue to hammer the point that NADMO should be a proactive institution. that would anticipate what will happen rather than waiting for the thing to happen. The post-mortem approach to dealing with disasters should be a thing of the past. Because if you put them in these tents and you know that if it rains heavily, it is the wind is likely to even blow off the tent, and this is going to create problem for them. So they should have anticipated this. But it's better late than never. They should just move them out of the place and ensure that they anticipate the coming events. Aside from that, let me also say that with the reconstruction, they should quickly come out with a timetable so people will be able to plan. Well, we know that they are now mobilizing the resources to support the reconstruction. But then, what is the timeline? When would we do what? If we move them to this temporary holding area from 1st May, how long are they going to be there? Well, this place doesn't belong to government. How much are we paying? Is it for free? All these things will have to be laid out so that people would understand what is happening, and then they will be able to follow the time plan. Forward planning is always better than waiting for the event to happen.
Forward planning is always advisable. Professor Moto, what runs to your mind when you see pictures like this?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's so pathetic that we are where we are today, especially when we all know that this particular menace was man-made. It wasn't natural, disaster. It was man-made. Indeed, if all the measures were put in place and ensured that they were implemented, I don't think there would have been any appeal to a disaster. But let me commend the media for the role you play. I always say that, look, governance, in democracy, will require that media plays a critical role when it comes to ensuring that politicians do the right thing, and the swiftness with which the media reported the case and then the continuous reportage on the case, obviously put in the hands of stakeholders to go in there and assist. We always talk about, when it comes to that, we always talk about the swiftness, proactivity, but I always say, and I listen to them, it all depends on the resources you have. When you resource an agency, then you have that right to always be on them to act responsively.
Is that not more adequately resourced?
That's the question you have to ask. That if the resources were there, why would they even stay without responding swiftly? Responding, the mandate of NADMO is not just to go in there and probably assist people within the cause of the disaster, but also provide some basic livelihoods that they need in the short term. That's why they have warehouses scattered all over. So if those warehouses are not stocked, how do you expect them to act swiftly? These are the questions I always ask. And often than not, they submit that, look, they also lack resources. And they will sometimes will not come out clear, but you could easily deduce into their submissions that they have or they are resource constrained. In all this, I think as a country, we should be mindful of the way we manage such disasters. I don't want to place this in the context of the Ketasi defense, what do you call it? Tidal waves. Yeah. But we need to always prepare and respond in equal proportion wherever the issues transpire. Very, very important as a country. So Kafi, for me, I'm also very happy that we are very noble people. I think the last time we met, our mother in charge, Madam Joyce Ayi, and once again the issue of accountability. Every now and then, she comes out to tell us how much has been collected.
In fact, there was the text of the day. That day was, Madam, please, Ghanaians respect you. Be wary of the people who are hanging around you, so that that the money that you collect must be well accounted for, so it doesn't sully your reputation.
That is it.
And she took it in good faith.
Yes.
Of course, your reputation is all you have, really.
But I've monitored Joyce Ayi over the period.
So people are just concerned
consistently
that they don't want her to be
attached
to anything that goes wrong.
but the people around.
That's exactly the point.
The people around.
Yes.
So the fact that she consistently, communicate as to what has been received from, good people of this country. You know, there are even people going around, churches going around, contributing towards the livelihood of people in Apiache. And her face has been the major face behind the whole
So the right
thing.
thing should be done.
The right thing should be done. And we expect that, look, whatever money you have collected, let it go to the benefit of the people.
Excellent. All right, gentlemen, that's all we have time for. I wonder whether in your teaching days you would have been excited about wearing uniforms to class. There was some news that went around saying that teachers in the GES system were going to be wearing uniforms. But the Ghana Education Service has called on the public to disregard news of alleged introduction of uniforms for teachers in the country. They said if they wanted to introduce uniform for teachers, they couldn't do that on their own without the involvement of stakeholders. GES is one of the largest government agencies in Ghana. We employ more than half of all government uniforms for teachers. We won't do that through social media and over the weekend, the service stated. So the background to this is that on Sunday, the 10th of April, 2022, pictures were circulating on social media on alleged introduction of uniforms. That's quite a really figure-hugging outfit. Was that supposed to be for a teacher?
That's what they're saying. It looks more like a prisons officer's uniform.
They say it's fake news. They are not introducing any uniforms. So teachers, please don't get too excited. That is it. Somebody's probably having fun on social media. But we'll check it out to make sure that it actually remains the fake news that the GES says it is. So for now, disregard the news as GES says. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I cannot disregard you. You have been wonderful. Our Tuesdays are always great. Dr. Eric Odro Osai is the Director General of the Internal Audit Agency, and Professor John Koku Mauto is the Dean of the School of Graduate Studies, UPSA. Enjoy your day. The next conversation is on 21 Safety and Crime Report. My question, 4 words, how safe are you? WhatsApp number 055-556-1034. Remember, this show ends today at 9 o'clock because we will be taking over a conversation on non-communicable diseases from 9 o'clock involving the President, the Prime Minister of Norway, and the WHO Director General. But for now, the Safety and Crime Report story coming up after this. Don't go anywhere.
In the first 2 years, your baby will experience amazing growth in so many ways. To fuel it, they need the right nutrition. With Cerelac, 1 bowl of goodness a day provides the wholesomeness of carefully selected grains, the Iron Plus, which helps support brain development, and the yummy taste baby loves, assuring you the right nutrition in 1 bowl. Cerelac, it's all good, Mom.
This advert is FDA approved.
Sugar cane sweet, but your love is sweeter. So below juice mixed with a little ginger. Oh girl, I wanna be you, but you know they got enough time for me. I wanna live with you.
Thanks for staying on. It's still hashtag GTV Breakfast, and we're having this conversation with two gentlemen, and we are talking about public safety. A study came out recently and it gave some rather alarming figures, and it was conducted by the Bureau of Public Safety. One of the things it revealed is that violent crimes in the country went up by 40.8% compared to the situation in 2020, which was 30%. And in 2021, we are told that the available data in the report indicates that associated deaths also went up by 53.7%, recording a jump from the previous report of 26%. This morning, we are having a chat with two gentlemen who have joined me at the table to interrogate the figures a bit more. And from my immediate left, Dr. Prosper Nino Teado, who is a security and international relations analyst, and he joins us for his expertise. Good morning, Doc, and welcome.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
And the institution that conducted that survey that we'll be talking about this morning, we have the executive director with us. He's from the Bureau of Public Safety, Nana Yao Akwada. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
So before we even get into the details of what the report said, why did you find the need to come up with this? Usually we get figures and statistics from this service. Accidents reports are from perhaps the Road Safety Commission. Why did you consider it an urgent need for the Bureau to come up with this report?
Well, thank you very much. I think the idea was mooted as far back as 2014, when we operated in the space for a couple of years. We were founded in 2009, and we realized that we did not have a system where we can get periodic reports on public safety and crime in the country. So we have an event, the minister or IGP or some top police officer attends the event, and then churns out a few figures, and then we all get excited about it. So we wanted something more regular, something more regular and periodic that people can look up to, something that can also be reliable. And so we came up with this idea of, well, we do not have the funding or the resource, and we cannot also assume the role of the police. So how do we gather data as regards public safety and crime? Discussions led us to, we have some very reliable, dependable, professional media houses across the country. So why don't you rely on their reportage and put in a system of validation, a system where we can validate such stories on public safety and crime, and then log them in as data that we can use. At least it gives us a sense of what is happening in the country. So we came up with this idea. We started off with about 7 online portals of recognized media houses in Ghana, operating under the operations and the guidelines of the National Media Commission, and we decided to monitor them. So we ran this program for 2 years on pilot, from 2015 to 2017, up to middle of 2017. And when we were setting of what we wanted to do, we took off from July of 2017. So our first report, if you get on our website, ghanasafety.com, was 2017-2018 report, at which launch the IGP's representative was there, the Minister of Interior's representative was there, the diplomatic missions were there. I mean, prominent among them were the US embassy, other prominent persons like Professor Kwesini. I think he gave the keynote address on that occasion when we launched the first report. And since then, we've been very consistent. We were having quarterly reports on public safety and crime, quarterly reports, half-year report, and full-year reports. But with the onset of COVID, we did not have enough funds, and so we decided that we were going to do half-year instead of the quarterly. So we're now doing half-year reports. I admit that the kind of data that we put out there would also need some further desegregation,
And it's because of some of these things that we brought you here to help us understand exactly what you gathered and what you found out. There's a general increase in crime from what your study is telling us, but there are specific crimes that are on the increase more than others. Take us through some of your findings.
Okay, so not exactly specific crimes that are on the increase more than others. If you look at our league table, what we call the crime breakdown, the breakdown of crimes, you realize that for 2020 and 2021, you will see generally an increase in all the crimes that we listed, I think with the exception of one or two of them that decreased. A general increase in all of them. What we picked was the top three most reported violent crimes, and we came up to murder or manslaughter, we came up to armed robbery and aggravated assault. These were the top three violent crimes that were reported for the year under review in 2021. And we also attempted to look at which regions that these crimes were more prevalent, and we came up, and that's what headliners for most of the portals, that Ashanti region was the murder capital in the year under review.
And that is quite worrying, considering where it sits in the geography of the country is right around the middle. So if there's any kind of boost in crimes in the middle belt, then it's likely to travel up or travel down. And perhaps the analyst would help us understand why this should be such a worrying trend, even if you're not in the Ashanti region. Dr. Norte.
Yes, okay. Thank you for the good job, done. I think we need these statistics to give pointers, and the increment simply tells us that things are not good, and it could be two things. Maybe these things have been happening over the time, but did not receive this kind of detailed research. So now that it's come to light, it could be interpreted as it has increased, but it was there. Okay, most of the crimes have been in existence for a long time. And if you also look at the nature of the crimes, it is about murder, it is about manslaughter, it is about aggravated assaults.
And armed robbery.
And of course, also robberies. And these are interpersonal, individualized kinds of activities, which gives us the indication that people are becoming intolerant of each other. People are coming under all kinds of influences to commit crime. Some of these influences could be arms, weapons. It was highlighted there in the report. It could also be that people are desperate, they are frustrated, they don't have jobs, they don't have anything doing, so they must find ways of making a living, and something that they have to resort to some of these criminal activities or quick fixes. You have to survive, so you have to find a way of robbing somebody of, the youth these days. You hear a lot about all these yahoo and also ritual murders and all that. We spoke about, we had this case in the recent past where there was this gentleman who was known to be playing football and also did some businesses, but somehow he was storing parts of human beings in fridges for all kinds of activities. Okay, and so these things lead to some of these developments we're seeing in the Ashanti region and elsewhere. And for me, it must go beyond the figures. And I know maybe as we go along, we'll go beyond the figures to begin to then get into the real causes of these things and how to find solutions to them. And one of the key things I'd like to mention head on or right away is the fact that sometimes we tend to focus too much on issues to do with outputs rather than outcomes. And let me explain a bit further what I mean by this. When you give a weapon to a security personnel to go and fight crime, it's all about responding and curbing the initial, causes of these crimes. And so once those things are addressed immediately, you have some outputs. But the real outcome is in behavioral changes. How do we get people to change their attitude as these crimes are portraying?
We are looking at the chart right now. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all the ones that we've labeled on the side. The slide will be coming on your screens a bit shortly. Obviously, Mr. Akwada said murder, manslaughter in the lead there, armed robbery coming in second, aggravated assault third, this civil disorder violation, and then burglaries and robberies, fraud and impersonation is in there. Suicide are also named there. Rape, sexual abuse, traffic offense, illegal mining and galamsey also recording some numbers. Drug peddling and trafficking, illegal arms possession, kidnapping, abduction, mob justice, human trafficking, murder attempt is in there as well. Illegal immigration, arson, jailbreak, attempted suicide, vandalism, robbery attempt, and also robberies, all recording different numbers on that chart. And I just want to pick your thoughts. When we talk about aggravated assault, Mr. Akwada, was that from what kind of setting were those figures pulled from? Doc has told us about intolerance towards each other. Are these from domestic situations? Are these from work-related situations? Are these from road rage situations? Where are we recording these high figures of aggravated assault?
That's a brilliant and a difficult question for now. I indicated to you when I was wrapping up that our data needs further disaggregation. So maybe in future, if we get the kind of support that we'll need, because putting this report together, trust me, it's very difficult. With the few number of staff that we have and the resources available, it's difficult to do the disaggregation. But I'm sure if we have to go back to our source, the source data, we'll be able to pull out what kind of settings or situations inform these aggravated assault. But here we have it that Central Region is the leading region that reported most aggravated assault.
I wonder why.
And
Could you pinpoint a reason?
No, yesterday I think a radio host made a joke that Kaswa alone can make Central Region the leader in aggravated assault, where we have people pulling guns at the least provocation. We have people pouring assets on people. We have people, literally stabbing people, hacking people with machetes and all. Those are all aggravated assault if they do not result in deaths. And so I think that in future, like you said, we would want to disaggregate this data, further.
And I'm guessing that it will be very, very relevant to study what kind of support systems may be needed if we understand the how of how these figures came together, wouldn't it, Dr. Norman?
Absolutely. And you see, I don't even whether we even disaggregate or we don't disaggregate, we have a fair idea of what's happening. For instance, people can fight over 10 pesos, okay, in the course of transportation between a mate and a passenger, all right? And where there's disagreement and people are frustrated and all that, it results in fisticuffs, and anything is possible. Somebody can pull a weapon, somebody can pull a knife, and you have all these happening. Aggravated assault simply means that, unlike slaps, people intentionally cause severe bodily harm. Okay, and for somebody to get to that extent means that the person is really angry and really frustrated.
So it's an intentional thing when it comes to aggravated assault.
Of course, because but what starts it, they may not know it could result in that. But if you don't have the patience and you are not tolerant enough, anything somebody wants to attack you, want to defend, things degenerate, and you have to find a way of protecting yourself or defending yourself. And people go to that extreme. Okay, in terms of the manslaughter bit, for instance, it may not be intentional, but there's maybe some domestic kind of violence between a husband and a wife, and then it degenerates. Somebody pushes somebody, hits the head against something, and that is it. Okay, and so apart from these ones are also the issues of robberies, like we talked about. So you see, while there are social aspects to some of these crimes in terms of disagreements and all that, there's also the economic dimension where people specifically go with weapons to rob. And according to the report, the robberies are now not like often the case where we have people going to break doors and get into homes and steal things. You know, people are now reinforcing most of their gates and all that. They have all cameras and all. So there's less of the robberies in their homes. It happens, but less of it than maybe on the streets at night, in vehicles, ambushes and things like that. Why? Because people want to get quick money. They want to make themselves rich. Sometimes they watch movies, and some of these movies show some of these happenings and how that people are rich and they are counting money. Sometimes between youth, you know, they are in an environment where crime thrives, and as a way of subsistence, they get friends saying, look, if we do ABC, we can get quick money and we'll be driving big cars, we'll live big, we'll live good. They want to without going the right way. All these contribute to some of these developments.
And there appears to be a lot of societal pressure, is there not, on people to perform or to keep up to certain standards of living. And I'm looking at the statistics for civil disturbances, for example, and I'm just wondering how all those numbers came to be. And we are comparing figures from about 2018 through to last year, and we are seeing almost an up down trend in the numbers. Why are we seeing more numbers of civil disturbances? Perhaps Mr. Kwada, you can help us understand. Is it because now there's a lot more media, so we are hearing about them a bit more and they've always been there, or is there something else going on here?
Well, maybe this particular question, I'll leave it for Doc to attempt that. He will do a better job than I will. What I probably want to share, if you look at the chart, you will realize that the cases, okay, the cases are somewhere in the middle, and we have deaths and injuries, you know, sandwiching it. So the cases are the green line, okay, and you see
the deaths are the red lines, yes, and the injuries are the blue lines.
So I don't know whether, if you look at 2018, 2019, there is no trend. You cannot really put a trend on it. You look at 2021, violent crimes, civil disturbances just dipped. It appears it's the lowest since record started for us in 2018. But if you look at the injuries and the deaths, it is the injuries, for instance, 86 is quite significant, just a little under 104 from last year. And the significant chart is that majority of these were targeted at police stations and state facilities. Okay, for people to be courageous enough to say we want to attack a police station because we feel aggrieved, and what happened in Akachi, we feel aggrieved, and then suddenly the police also return fire, return force, lethal force, and we have people dying.
So what happened in Lamashao recently with the police chasing a suspect into a chief's palace? Could that be disturbed as a civil disturbance?
No, that is not.
Okay.
That is not. That will probably count for police brutality, which is also one of the indexes that we're looking at. That is not civil disturbance arises when the community charges or there's a demonstration.
Like what happened in Nigeria, perhaps?
Yes, there's a roadblock, there's maybe community gang clash. disturbances where as a result of that ganging up or massing up of the community, the police or fire service has to be called in, or maybe a state emergency service has to be called in, then it passes for a civil disturbance.
And you put something across to us also about the police officer casualties.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Okay. Police officer casualty, generally we wanted to, if we are looking at police brutalities, then we should also look at how they are coming and attack in the course of their job.
And again, the chart we are seeing, the green line represents the number of cases, the red is for the number of deaths, and the blue line is for the number of injuries. So perhaps you can explain to us what the numbers are telling us on our screens now.
So for officer casualties, generally when an officer comes under attack in the course of his duty, discharging his duty, or as a result of his appearance, maybe in a uniform, people target him, that is casualty. And what we see on the screen, the green is the number of cases that were reported for the year under review. We had 15. Let me just, my eyes.
15 in 2021.
Good.
I'm seeing 2020, the figure at 14.
Yes.
2018 and 2019, we had 19 cases of police brutalities or police casualties reported, as against 9 in 2018 for deaths. So out of the 19 cases recorded, there were 9 deaths and then 27 injuries in 2018. In 2019, we had 19 cases, 9 injuries and 5 deaths. 2020, 14 cases, 14 deaths and 3 injuries. And then the 2021 figure, out of 15 cases, we had 4 deaths and 3 injuries. So that's what the chart on our screens now is telling us.
So I think if you look at this in ratio terms, you see more like an improvement in officer death, officer casualty issues. So we had more cases, yet we have less deaths, and I'm sorry I have to say less deaths, but I have to, less deaths and fewer injuries. And I think that is good. I don't know what the police is doing right. We are yet to meet the police.
I guess I could perhaps put the question to Dr. Norte. You're watching the trend. You're seeing where it's going up and it's coming down. First of all, why should we be concerned about civil disturbances? And we also have to bear in mind that as much as civilians are caught in the crossfire, officers, security operatives are also caught in the fire sometimes, and they sometimes pay the ultimate price.
So basically, civil disturbances has to do with a group of individuals in a community somewhere not happy about something, and they go on the streets and they start making noise, seeking redress or justice. So if there was a robbery and there's supposed to be rule of law, and so this armed robber is arrested and taken to the police station. Then they see nothing happens. The following day or two, they see the person moving around bragging and going back to the same lifestyle.
So it's a lack of trust in the justice delivery system?
It could be. So that's one of the points. Okay. So next time, there's mob justice, and they take the law into their own hands. It could be the act of complicity, where the police officers sometimes go together with criminals to perform some of these robberies, so to speak. Okay, or like you saw in the case of the bullion vans, where even a police officer was murdered, and a whole lot of things coming out. I don't know how the case has gone so far, but there must be a follow-up and conclusion to the matter, and people made aware of what happened. When such things are done, it builds confidence.
But are the police not doing enough? We are seeing a police service that's more vocal about its activities now, and almost every other day there's a statement on something that the police is doing. So surely the security operatives are up and doing. Is that not enough?
Yes, currently they are up and doing. But the issue is that you have to look at the totality of the situation in the country, okay? And this is where I bring in this particular issue. When you want to assess the impact of the efforts of security agencies in addressing some of these crimes, the specifics are important, but the generality is what you use. And normally you come out with indicators. But what I'm saying is For us to be able to do effective assessment, government has a policy, it has a strategy of managing this. So you have the Ministry of National Security, it has a medium-term expenditure framework on spending on security agencies and how to address certain things. So at the end of the day, if you go to Parliament, for instance, to report on impact, it is to take this policy and say, this was our strategy. This is the money you gave us to deal with it. These are the crimes. These are the figures. This is what we've been able to do. This is the overall impact. We're getting somewhere. But if it's just about that particular issue of somebody did something and it came in the news, and the other ones, but you have so much weapons proliferating the system. You have a lot of, we've talked about this, we have a small arms commission. You haven't really heard specific effort is being made to collect these weapons. What arrangements are being done for those who are producing guns in the magazines and all those places to come under some form of umbrella, regulate their trade. You have so many. Let me give one more example, then maybe I allow my. See, I travel out of this country all the time. And as I sit here, I'm not saying anybody should do it, but this is the reality. We've talked about terrorism, and now we are on high alert because there's supposed to be some rebel groups announcing coming down. But it can be easily done without any security agency doing anything at all. I leave home, I pack my things, I walk to the airport, I enter, I check in, I go through the screening. That is, after checking in is when I go through screening. Nobody scans my goods when I enter the airport. Friends come, they go in with their families and all that, they see them off. Anybody can carry on anything. There can be an explosion in that strategic installation any moment. Without a police, you see the military police there.
There was a recent scare at the airport when there were alleged reports that a bag containing an explosive device had gone off, and social media went haywire. So everyone asking questions about what actually went wrong. Airport company came out and said, well, it was not what everyone else was thinking, but they had handled the situation.
Where I have difficulty is that we talk about these and they just go like that. You don't see any responses and reaction. Accra Mall, there was a time I made a lot of noise. A lot. Then police people were deployed there. But even that, when you are entering, nobody scans. At least the only place you see entry and installation which are a bit strategic and maybe moving pick. That one, at least they open your car.
Many of the hotels actually perform checks, and they are looking for, when they do these things, they are looking for offensive weapons. They are looking for bombs.
It's also deterrent in nature.
And let's compare with Mr. Akwada for a bit, because your study also focused on how offensive weapons and tools were used in committing crimes, and you actually had some figures for that. And so you'll see very shortly on your screen a certain chart with a blue and orange and red. And in 2019, which is the blue, we are seeing that there's a 135 cases, and then there's 99 cases. It's coming down in other years, and then 62. What are we seeing here, Dr. Akwada? Help us understand what this chart is telling us.
All right, so I'm not a doctor yet.
Perhaps I'm speaking.
Hopefully next year, if the panel is good enough, I should be.
We will definitely wish you well.
Yes. Before I respond to what's scrolling on the screen, there's a quick one. Doctor made a point about Small Arms Commission. I think if I don't respond to this, it will not be fair. They are currently in the process of coming out with a bill to make them an authority, to properly place them as a regulator for small arms and light weapons in the country. Beginning yesterday, they've assembled quite a number of us at somewhere in Abokobi where we are doing a final validation of the bill. Okay. And so that's it for the Small Arms Commission. Yes, it is true. And we have also been breathing hot air on their backs since, record started for us. In 2020, there was an increase, and per the figures you see, there was an increase of 22 percent in the use of firearms in the commission of violent crime, as against a 58% in 2021. And we have said that is scary. That is scary, that if we can shoot up from 22% to 57%, that is something that everybody should be, everyone should be worried about. It's something that everyone should be worried about. In armed robbery commission, we had over 74% of the armed robberies committed involved the use of firearms. So the matter of firearm usage is not something that we could take lightly, and I agree with Doc on that point.
I wish we had time to get into in the road traffic offences, because I would want to know whether insults were part of those numbers that you collated, because so many people are insulting people. We are quickly running out of time. So what should we do with this report, Dr. Norty, as we wrap up? What should we do? What should these numbers tell us?
I want results. No plenty talk. Results. We have been able to come out with these figures from the Bureau. These figures are supposed to tell us that things are not right. And it is for us to sit down. Sometimes there is the assumption that we are the security agencies and we know it all, and so we know what to do. But it also helps when you listen to some of these discussions, pick some things from it and get things done. Now, let me just give one quick example. I looked at the Ministry of National Security medium-term expenditure framework. Their definition of output, of outcome, was more to me an output. We need to get some of these things right so we can have effective responses. And let me explain. When you talk about outcome, you're simply talking about behaviors, how people behave. So if somebody takes a gun and keeps shooting, if you want an outcome, the person must stop taking the gun and keep shooting. That's an outcome. An output is simply providing a skill for somebody to respond to a problem.
So in clear terms, when we see people on social media brandishing guns, and it should tell us what exactly?
Behavior,
and how do we protect ourselves?
Behavior is a problem. And so to address this, you must be able to ensure that the gap between that output, empowering people to be able to address this problem, to change behavior, is done. And this is where partnership comes in. This is where influences come in. So when you don't have people working together to address this, same things go happening all the time. And that is why we must understand these things clearly, so that if we are apportioning resources, we know that outputs will go to address causes, but outcomes must have impact on behaviors.
Right.
If we get this right, we are headed in the right direction.
Mr. Kwada, quickly, in about 20 seconds, what's the next step after this report is being made public?
Well, we are meeting we will be seeking to meet the Police Management Board, as we've been doing year on year. We'll be meeting the National Road Safety Authority, and I think for this year's report, these are the key institutions that we'll be seeking to meet, to put across some of the suggestions that we have, that we think that if implemented, we'll be able to turn the tides.
All right. I understand that you have another interview at our sister FM station. So Mr. Nanaya Kwada will have to take leave of us. You can follow this conversation on the Unique Breakfast Drive. Mr. Kwada is headed there now, so he will be able to answer a lot more of your questions. It's a 1GBC platform using multiple media avenues. We are having a conversation on the 2021 Safety and Crime Report, which the Bureau of Public Safety put together. We are trying to understand what all those figures mean for your safety at home, on the streets, and everywhere in the country. A few of you have sent some messages, and Dr. Nino Teado will try to answer some of them. 05555610034. Motiti, questions?
Yes, some questions have come in this morning. Comments regarding safety and crime in this country. Now, one says, good morning, Kafui. I wonder why when it comes to development and the fastest growing place political accounts, and in terms of political accountability, I believe he wants to say, Kasoa becomes part of Accra. But when it comes to criminal activities, Kasoa happens to be in Central Region. I believe it's from the earlier on conversation when we were talking about Cape Coast being next to Kumasi in the rising crime. Another says, we cannot fight or minimize crime if we engage in the following: promotion of violent movies, abuse of cyber web without any countermeasures, that's a vulnerable cyber system, judicial injustice, compromised immigration system, allowing promotion of easy money making on our screens, religious leaders encouraging society to dwell on them for easy money making, lack of confidence in our security service, and corrupt political system. These are Ni's thoughts from Accra, sending us his thoughts there, Ni. Another one that just came in from DCOP Mohammed Suraji, the DG of Operations Ghana Police, says he wants to express his appreciation for this morning's discussion on the 2021 Safety and Crime Report, that he found very useful information for the Ghana Police as a key partner in the maintenance and promotion of law and order in this country. This is coming from DCOP Mohammed Suraji. The Mina Hunter sends his thoughts as well. Good morning, Honorable Telma and the crime analyst. I think the analysts have elaborated much on the causes of major crimes. I believe COVID-19 restrictions might have had enough influence on the decrease of 2020 records. Injustices of our courts of law may also cause crimes to increase. This is from Mina Hunter Franco Bab, New Edubiase. A message that just came in as well. A policeman arrested a lady selling coins and 1 Ghana cedi notes to commercial vehicles at a bus stop. The officer was insulted by the people around and had to arrest. IGP Dampare has to, please, is that business legal or illegal, or we should wait for trouble before we think? One of the 3 wise men. This is a question he's throwing to the experts this morning. The violent crime, good morning BFS, the violent crime and crime rate as at 2020 and 2021 being lower as compared to 2022 is simply because of COVID-19. Hence the reason why the previous years was lower. It's still ongoing. More of them don't even hear about, or more goes on that we don't even hear about. All bounces back to the economic austerity and lack of jobs in this country. That's the last message that just came in. His thoughts on the crime and safety report. Telma.
Thank you, Maltiti, for those comments. And remember, these are comments made by persons who are watching us. The views of GBC. We are looking into the 2021 Safety and Crime Report, and we're asking the question, how safe are you? Dr. Ninote Ado is a security and international relations analyst. And Doc, I'll pick your final thoughts now. Are we safe?
Yes and no. We are safe to the extent that sometimes we walk the streets freely, and unlike other places on the continent, relatively, we are okay. But we are also not safe to the extent that we almost always would have to be looking over our shoulders at night. We have to pray that nobody breaks into our premises, or we are walking in the street and there's no attack whatsoever. And so it's a yes and no. But for me, I always have this feeling that that's my personal belief and opinion, because Ghana being where it is positioned, things could have been worse.
But we are not doing too badly.
But we are not doing too badly. But this is not for us to also rest on our oars, because then we can make it better. And it's good that we have a police administration now that is quite proactive and appear to be, bringing a lot of confidence into the system. But they need the support politically and lots more also in terms of partnerships to ensure that we are much safer.
Right. Dr. Ninote Adu, thank you so much for helping us with a security and international relations analysis of what the 2021 Safety and Crime Report has told us. The general consensus is some crimes are on the increase and we really should be a little more careful out there. Next on our program, we have Valerie sitting down with a gentleman from a hotel that we love very much, Airport View Hotel. They are celebrating their 20th anniversary. Another person who is marking an anniversary today, Mr. George Enchel. You're the husband of Mrs. Betty Enchel of GBC Makeup. Betty and the kids are wishing you a happy birthday and they say they love you. The breakfast show continues after the break, and don't go away.
Hey, tell me more. Tell me more. Hey, tell me more. Tell me. Beer.
They ma worry me. Watch me, you come 1 week, Mr. Oh, now
yes. Boga, nade. Senior, name me and you ma cut down my business is a collapse. I'm out. So
won't take quick credit in car.
Quick credit?
Yes, quick credit. Who pesika? Eddie started you maybe. We are government and a private worker. Who pesika they are till water so. We are Busumi Juma. Who yes, Sicadiate Bibin Tempe so. Quick credit, when my loan and what you are in Kakra. Now, and let just some Cassian say, a collateral free loaner, Susu, savings, account opening, and a deposit as MBN. You hear and say, Wagana card. 2022 year, 1 year Juma, now one hour young. Who need excuse here? Quick credit to 03022 00390 and 05969 20833. Basina quick credit.
Mad.
I wanna talk about the things. I wanna talk about the things where they feel. I know they say what I know me. So if I tell you, say I like it, believe. Yeah, got me confused. I'm in the mood. You might shaka what you want me, I got.
Of the breakfast table, we're doing something. We are celebrating with Airport View Hotel. They are 20 years, guys. So for those of you who don't know where the Airport View Hotel is, when you hit the Tetekwashi stretch, okay, heading towards the airport, so it's at the airport intersection, and what you have on your screens now is a walkthrough actually of the Airport View Hotel, guys. They are 20 years and they're celebrating with Ghanaians. They have amazing giveaways, they have presents. And guess what? You can go and eat. If you listen well to today's conversation, you can win some tickets and you can go to Airport View Hotel. You can go and eat. You can go and stay there for the weekend. You can go and stay there for the night. You can go and jam. You can have a party. You can go with your friends, have dinner, have lunch. It's Easter. So many festivities, so many activities going on, and it's all happening at the Airport View Hotel. They are 20 years, guys, and they are celebrating with us. So yes, in studio is Barry Kwesi Asante, Sales and Marketing Manager for Airport View Hotel. Good morning and welcome to our show.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. When we hear food and we hear discounts, you know, Ghanaians, we love free things. So yeah. So guys, listen in attentively to this conversation, because we are going to open the phone lines at the end of this conversation, and some of the things that Berima will say will be your ticket to go to the Airport View Hotel for a sumptuous meal or a sleepover. So listen attentively, guys. What's happening? Tell us what's happening with it. I mean, it was set up in April 1st, 2002.
Yeah.
making it 20 years, and so what do you have in store for us? What's happening? Are there any new additions? What's been going on for 20 years? There's a lot of traffic. Your hotel causes a lot of traffic at that stretch.
Yes, so basically Airport View Hotel started with 6 rooms. It was actually a house which was being converted into a guest house in the early 2000s.
Okay.
So officially it became a guest house in 2022 with 6 rooms. Demand kept coming, so we had to increase the number from 6 to 8. 8 we went to 12, 12 to 20, and then we finally got to 50. So 50, we ran 50 rooms for a while, and then we increased to 81. Then boom, there comes COVID. So we had to hold on for a while. But even during COVID, you know, we were the first hotel to start this quarantine in Ghana. Yes. So we decided to add additional 21 rooms. So as we speak now, 20 years, Airport View has 101 luxurious rooms, and then 6 conference rooms, plus a modern boardroom, which has all the live streaming and then Zoom facility as well. So
101 rooms, 20 years down the line. Tell us, we know that Airport View Hotel took in a lot of people when COVID struck, especially those who were being quarantined. Tell us how the hospitality sector is hoping. I mean, yeah, we can see some sort of recovery, but tell us, are there any long-term plans to see the hospitality sector here in Ghana rise again, speaking from where you stand as a marketing manager?
Yes, with Airport View, what we did was we didn't see it to be a big blow as others thought, but then we took our chances. Okay. So we trained our staff. We usually do fumigation each and every week in our hotel, even though the numbers keep reducing, but we don't take chances. So as it stands now, we are okay. We don't know for
Okay, 20 years. What's in the pipeline? What do you have to offer to us? What's new?
Okay, so we have a new restaurant known as the Chibo.
Say that again. Chibom. Did you say Chibom?
No, the Chibo.
Chibo.
Yes, the
Chibo.
Yes, the spelling sounds Cibo, C-I-B-O, but then it's pronounced as Chibo.
Chibo. Yes. That's the Chibo restaurant on our screens now.
Yes, and for the love of the country and then GCB, we have decided GBC. Sorry. We have decided to give 20% discount to everyone who is watching this show on our rooms, basically the rack rate, 20%. Okay. But when it comes to the F&B,
when you say F&B, what do you mean?
So food and beverage.
Okay, so yes. Food and beverage. Okay.
Anybody who comes to the Cibo, as it's but pronounced as Chibo. Yes, get a 20% instant discount.
Okay.
On their meals.
Anybody at all.
Anybody at all.
Not just people who are watching us, but anybody at all.
Yes.
Any Ghanaian who walks in.
Yes, but then if you mention the fact that you were actually watching this program, you get a special treat.
A special treat. Yeah. Guys, be attentive. Be attentive. Okay. So what are some of the facilities at the Airport View Hotel? So
we have a spa, a forest bureau, we have a gym,
yes,
and then one of the few hotels with a heated pool in Accra.
Heated pool?
Yes.
Okay, wait, before I start talking about pools and heating and all that comes, the imaginations that come with it, is the gym open for outsiders, not just residents of the hotel? Is the gym open to anybody?
Yes, it's open to the general public as well as the people who are
okay. I hear there's something special coming up on Mother's Day.
Yes.
Tell us about it. We'll come back to the 20% and how our viewers can get their tickets and all of that. But what's happening with mothers?
So on Mother's Day, we are actually having a special dinner for all mothers. And we would also look forward to seeing mothers coming with their kids. The best mother who dances well on that day.
The best dancing mom.
Yes. Stand a chance of winning a free weekend stay at Airport View Hotel. a full board actually. So it's going to be food, meals, everything on Airport View, just to celebrate mothers.
Use all the facilities too.
Yes.
Mother's Day, the place to be is the Airport View Hotel. Now let's come back to our tickets and the 20% discounts, which we actually love. If somebody wants to make reservations towards the festivities and towards the celebrations, are there numbers to call? Where do we find you online?
Okay, so on all social media handles, it's Airport View Hotels GH. And then the phone numbers to call is 020-225-3228.
Say the number again, one more time.
020-225-3228 or 020-2022.
Okay, Brahma, let's take a breather. Let's take a breather. You come back again. Let's take a breather. We don't want to get the numbers wrong. Where are the hashtags? Was there a website that we can make reservations from?
Yes, it's www.airportviewhotels.com.
Right. So here's the fun part, guys. So Brahma brought a couple of tickets. Today we are giving away 3 tickets. So if you get a ticket, it means that when you go to the Airport View Hotel from today till the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
Till the end of the year.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so all the discounts are from today till the end of the year, but if you get a ticket here, you get 20% discount if you go to the Airport View Hotel on all the facilities, food, night stay, the gym, all the other facilities. And then guess what? If you want to go with someone, even though you get one ticket, the person gets a 20% discount on the total amount of everything spent when they are there. So yeah, even though you get one ticket, it gets you a 20% discount if you want to take somebody out as well. The number to call is 054
02.
No. We are going to ask the numbers and we are going to open our phone lines. So you can call in and win a ticket. Not your number. So the number is 054-366-4264. The number is 054-366-4264. It will be screening. It will be rolling on your screens. And we have a caller. Good morning. Thank you for calling us.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for calling us. What's your name, please?
I'm Mela Hunter from Kubo.
Ah, our favorite guy. Again, okay, so Mena Hunter, your question is, when was Airport View Hotel established?
Somewhere in April 2002.
You are close enough, but can you give us a date perhaps?
Was it 7?
Okay, Mena Hunter, just because you gave us the right one, you have a ticket because you are one of our favorite texters, and yes. And so the answer is 1st April 2002. That was when the Airport View Hotel was established in 2002. So Mena Hunter, do not go off the phone. Our producers will speak to you. You want yourself a ticket, and if you go with the missus, she gets a 20% discount on the total amount of everything spent. The number is 0543-664264. So you were telling us about the long-term plans the hospitality sector has, especially your outfit. So what should we look forward to? We're in April. We have a couple of months all the way to December. Holidays, lots of activities. You told about Mother's Day. What's next on the lineup?
Okay, so we used to be someone will say a leisure hotel, but then we have actually upgraded to meet both business and then leisure as well. So from now to the end of the year, from Airport View, we look forward to giving our customers and everybody best of service when it comes to conferencing. And then, you know, Ghanaians, we like food. You just don't have to go anywhere and eat anything.
Have you met Thelma Taki?
No.
We have a caller. Hold on, we have a caller. Thank you for calling us. Going. So 1 ticket, 2 tickets to go. What's your name? Thank you for calling us.
My name is Charles Nanabuki.
Right, Charles. I'm going to ask you this. How many bedrooms do you think Airport View Hotel has?
101 rooms.
Spot on. You were listening to our conversation. There you go. So yes, you have won yourself a ticket, and if you decide to go with someone, the person automatically has a 20% discount on the total amount. So please do not go off the phone lines. Our producers will speak with you. Earlier, we were just having a conversation. T was having a conversation. T, she's the foodie in our team anyway.
Oh, really?
So I think you need to give her like 6 tickets for free. Okay, so we're talking about security. How's security in your hotel? I mean, how safe are people? We do know that most people are targeted just when they're about to enter these entertainment facilities and hospitality centers. How safe are we? I mean, with all that's happening.
So you are very safe at Airport View Hotel. We don't only do the security check at the gate. We do have CCTV cameras on each floor, and we have someone monitoring the screen 24/7. So when it comes to security-wise, you are very safe. We are close to the airport police station, and it's just a 2 minutes walk away from the facility. So at any given point in time, we have a backup to support our security team at Airport View Hotel.
Right. We have a caller. Going. 1 ticket gone, 2 tickets, 1 more to go. Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling us from?
Hello, my name is Gordon Sonny, and I'm calling from Kumasi.
Okay. Your question is really simple. Where is the Airport View Hotel located?
I think it's located at the airport.
Spot on, that's it. You got it. You are our last caller, and yes. Spot on. So don't go off the phone lines just yet. Our producers will speak with you and let you know how you can get your tickets. Follow is GTV Breakfast. We've been spending the last part of our show with Berima Kwesi Asante. He's the sales and marketing manager for the Airport View Hotel, and the Airport View Hotel is 20 years, and they're celebrating and giving amazing giveaways. Well, the biggest giveaways, they are giving a 20% discount on everything. Look, you can walk into the Airport View Hotel this afternoon for lunch, and you get a 20% discount. Guess what? You get a bigger discount if you say you watched our show, and perhaps if you mention Berima's name and probably mention the color of his pocket kerchief, then maybe he'll give you an even bigger deal. But guys, this has been our show, and GTV Breakfast, we're cutting it a bit short today because we're going to make way for a live program. We're going to air live on GTV and all our channels across the country, online and radio as well. If you want to catch a repeat of the show, miss portions of it, will be on your screens at 11 p.m. on GTV, the whole thing, so you can catch the parts where you missed them. Remember to follow the hashtag GTV Breakfast everywhere. See you again tomorrow.
I picture the things I go do to you tonight.